feel again, oh now so intense. I feel it again, I feel it again, I feel it again. We're bringing this back to life.
Better off as strangers. Believe me when I say, loving me is loving danger. Your heart is bound to break. I walk alone in the night, beneath the pale moon. Loving's for the fools. Baby, beware of my bite. I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf, I'm a lone wolf, I'm a lone wolf, I'm a lone wolf, I'm a creeping through the shadows and the corners of your mind. I go where the wind blows. I run but I don't hide. I hear the call of the wild, whispering the name. No, I can't be tamed. My heart belongs to the night. I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf, I'm a lone wolf, I'm a lone wolf, I'm a lone wolf, I'm a
that again. All right, guys. Great start. Yay! Minute with no silence. Okay.
Listen,
Yeah.
it's a double standard, right? But
Yeah.
at the same time, you got to look at it purely from a business standpoint. They're making money. Their investors, their advertisers are not going to be happy associating with that.
Sure.
With the women doing that. From their view, it's just pure bottom dollar.
Mm-hmm. So for anybody,
it's a double standard.
Just before we
about Trump.
Just before we jump into it, all our microphones were muted so no one heard. Guys, we are talking about Bill Maher and regarding Roseanne. Obviously, the biggest week for the news for the week was Roseanne being fired from her show. That's currently what we're talking about at the moment. But yeah, at the end of the day, obviously, Roseanne has been fired because of a racial comment regarding the Muslim Brotherhood and a former Obama staff member. Yeah, what are you saying? You reckon she shouldn't be fired because of what she said? You reckon it should?
Okay, so technically she shouldn't be fired, but it's purely a bottom line thing for them. It's about money.
Yep.
And she's made a statement that is going to look bad on them, going to lose some advertising dollars. They fired her not to make a political statement, at least in my view, but they fired her because, well, she's going to cost them advertising dollars. Therefore, they are completely justified in firing.
Yeah, well,
she shouldn't have been fired in the ideal world, but money's money.
Well, that's the interesting thing. And what does my Coke taste like? It's got bourbon in it. Anyway, moving along. This could be an interesting stream if I accidentally mixed drinks.
1 second, Nonpartisan. Just to tell you, I brought in Hong of Hole. He's another Australian guy.
Yep.
You recognize his voice when he speaks. But, yeah.
Do you want to introduce yourself, the new person that joined? Pong, you there?
You're unmuted.
You're unmuted, man. You can talk. Yeah.
All right. I'm Tim Tam.
Mm-hmm.
And I just entered. I have no idea what the conversation's about until I just heard Rosie.
Well,
yeah. So
the stream has just started.
Yeah, we just literally kicked it off like 2 minutes ago. Roseanne was fired from ABC because of her racial comments regarding the former Obama staff member. Now, the interesting thing that's come about this is the fact that a lot of the people on the left have been taking shots at Ivanka Trump lately. I can't mention the word on YouTube because I'd probably get a copyright strike. It's that bad, but it's CUNT or see you next Tuesday. They've been referring to her as that. Now, at the end of the day, the question is that we know there's a double standard when it comes to the left and the right. If anybody on the right was to call Michelle Obama or anything like that, the same sort of word, you can imagine the shit show that would happen. Now, Samantha Bee went through and has called her this word, which technically I can't say. Do you think that Samantha Bee should be fired, or... Well, I'm for that.
Absolutely.
Well,
yeah.
I think she should be fired, but that's just because she's unfunny.
What was this? Because she's unfunny, did you say? Sorry.
Yeah, I think she should be fired.
She's a shitty comedian.
Yeah, well, we know the left can't joke about anything. They just lost all sense of humour. But
My vagina!
Yeah, well, yeah, let's not get into that train wreck of an incident. But what I was going to say was the thing is that they're claiming that the remarks Roseanne made were racial discrimination, where the remarks that Samantha Bee has made are more the fact that it is about not race, but about attitudes and whatnot. Do you think that holds up? Do you think there's any... Do you guys agree with that? Like, what do you think, Satellite, about that? Do you think there's a difference?
Yeah. I mean, that they have been attacking her on anything anyway. Like it was a racially motivated thing to attack her about the photo that she tweeted out where she's holding her son.
True. Yeah, there is definitely a double standard when it comes to obviously the left and the right. But the thing is that the real story here is Mars has said that Trump shows people don't care about decorum, policy, Democrats, or freedom of the press. So what he's talking about in this is he's talking about the fact that Trump's approval rating keeps going up and up and up. Now, I will play the video for the people at home. Do you want me to post the link to the video in the Discord, or are you guys still playing your Factorial?
You might put it in the Shotex chat. I have 2 screens, so.
Sweet. All right.
Throw it in.
Sweet. Let me... How do I grab that link? No, not going to work.
Fucking boomer.
Technology is my friend, alright? Technology is my friend. Let's jump and let's do a quick Google search of it.
Anyway, while he's being a boomer and looking for the stream, we may as well fill the dead air.
I've got it. Here it is here.
You got it?
Smartass.
Alright.
So let's paste that in show text and done.
So why did you start streaming now at like 1:30 a.m. Australian time?
Because most of my audience is American and they're waking up.
Are they? Okay. Just wanted to know, you know?
Go.
Like we're
It's a little
3
weird,
Australians here.
Plus, I'm pretty nocturnal when it comes to the nighttime anyway, so yeah.
I'm also trying to bring in a 4th Australian and maybe Gilgamesh.
Oh yeah, sweet. Yeah. That's actually not the one.
And possibly the Canadian, the British 56%.
Yep.
Vape now?
No, I think he's talking about
No,
Israel.
the Israeli, the half Jew, half Mongolian. The weirdest mix I've ever seen.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Kerry.
Wait, what?
Kerry. You know Kerry was half, like Israeli or whatever, half Arab.
I didn't know that. I knew she was she grew up in Iraq, but I mean, to be honest, I always thought it was a dude.
Pretty sure she's half Arab.
56% she's part Mongolian, part Jewish, mostly British, and while she understands all the logic of facts, reality, and whatnot, she fights against it because she's too much of a softie. A lefty.
Wait, who are we talking about now? Fuck.
One of Gilgamesh's one of Geek Delu's mods.
Oh god, is this a girl that pretends to be fucking Africa?
No, fuck no, that girl's fucking toxic. This chick's from the UK, she's not too bad person. She's a neurology student.
Oh, okay. As long as it's not the one that pretends to be fucking Africa and it's obviously fucking New Zealand. I mean, it's obviously New Zealand.
I didn't test that person.
Setting up his stream, mate.
Sorry?
Well, he has to post the bloody link already then.
Yeah, we're still waiting for the bloody link.
It's in chat. It's in Showtime.
Oh, Shotex channel.
Yeah.
Yep. Alright.
Oh, Showtime. Okay, well then.
Alright, so everybody's got it?
Alright. So I guess we watch through this and have a little discussion on the link afterwards.
Yeah, sure.
God damn, man.
Yeah, we won't probably go through
Have
that.
a timestamp at the most relevant part.
Yeah, I was going to say, if everybody jumps to... I'd say a minute 16.
This one really is the most important.
All right.
Please tell us why.
Let's have a listen.
All right, so everybody jump to 1 minute 22 seconds. Actually, it's better. Because this is the most important part about it. So we all got that?
So 1 minute 27.
1 minute 22.
All right.
Ready? All right, let's go.
It's the most important because we have a president who is a pathological liar. We have a president
double standards to the left and the right.
who has strong authoritarian tendencies
Media
sort of
representations,
every
people
day
are getting fired, etc.
undermine American democracy. You know, and in my state and all over this country, you have men and women who have fought and died to defend American democracy. And this guy looks all over the world, and he kind of likes all of these authoritarian leaders.
What you're guilty of.
He attacks the media every day, trying to make it harder for them to be critical
Which is
of him.
very true.
And we have a president who is a billionaire himself, who has
great
surrounded
strategy.
himself with billionaires, who gave huge tax breaks to the wealthiest
Because
people.
in a day,
absolutely.
it's just like
you want guys one
say what
photos?
you're guilty of, and they come and call you it. Then it's like, oh, you're just calling names now.
Yeah, if they ever turn it back on them, then all of a sudden it's oh, you're just yeah.
Repeating the insult, you know.
Exactly. You get ahead of the insult by saying it first, therefore if it gets turned on you, it will no longer have hold and weight.
So the reason why I was showing that clip, there's two important ones. The irony of Bernie Sanders sitting there talking about the rich and elite when he is in fact rich and elite in himself. He is sitting there going on about how we got a president who is wealthy, who's a billionaire. Sure, Bernie Sanders mightn't be a billionaire, but he's sure as hell a millionaire. And here he is taking shots at Trump for being rich and elite and running for president when he did the exact same thing himself. YouTube's new layout sucks. What's new? But yeah, and at the end of the day, also the important thing from this is them talking about why this election is important. Does anyone else get the feeling from that clip that impeachment might be something they might be running on in 2018 for a midterm?
Nope.
Well,
they can't do impeachment. If they try to, like, let's just pretend impeachment actually did happen.
Mm-hmm.
What do you reckon the reaction would be?
Oh, it'd be civil war.
It might not be civil war.
No, you know what I mean. Yeah.
People are pussies.
Yeah.
But it'll be it'll be a bloodbath, to say the least. There will be blood.
But you don't think it's a little bit weird that they're sitting there saying, "Why is this election so important?" And then you have Bernie Sanders sitting there going on about how you have a pathological liar, quote, when it comes to being in the White House. You don't think they're going to sit there and think, you don't think they're sort of dog whistling to their supporters to make us win, let us win, and we'll get rid of Trump?
Well, if they win, they can't get rid of Trump if they win. The thing. Like,
no, but...
they can't really...
Okay, so we have a big of a difference here because... Well, we're talking...
They're lying. They're dog whistling. I agree with you there, but they're not going to get rid of Trump even if they do get him.
But yeah, okay. So you're talking about it.
No, they're just going to stall him constantly.
So yeah,
I mean, I understand like what you're saying. Basically, King Paul. Sorry, Tim, what you're saying basically is that even if they get in, they can't stop him. But what Nonpartisan is trying to say is, do you think this is one of the things they're going to be trying to run? They're going to try to run on. It may never happen. It may be impossible for them, but they're going to use this as a talking point, a narrative saying, "Get us in so we can stop this madman from turning this nation into a fascist dictatorship." And blah blah blah.
And that's what
they've been running on that idea for months.
He says he has tendencies. He can't actually outright say he's a dictator. That's the
Yeah, because they know that wouldn't work. They know that wouldn't fly.
But they will obviously.
That would be defamation.
Yeah. But what they'll do is they'll use technical Jewish terms, you know, like like that. Yeah, like he has tendencies to be authoritarian and
tendencies. Yeah, they'll jump around it with legalese to make sure they can't actually get done or sued, etc. But they've been doing this for the last year. They will constantly and yeah, we probably shouldn't have been talking over the video, really. No,
it doesn't matter. Yeah, so basically what they were saying in the video is that elect us and we have a person in the White House that has dictator tendencies. Personally, I reckon they're going to try and run on impeachment. I know you're saying it's not going to happen, it mightn't happen, yada, yada, yada. I get all that. But what I'm saying is, I'll be very, very surprised if they're not going to run on impeachment as a campaign promise or midterm promise for 2018.
Oh, no, I disagree with that. I reckon they'll dog whistle it, but do not think that they will actually say they're going to impeachment or anything like that.
Because they've said it in the past, and then they've backed off it again.
Yeah, because they can't actually run on it. I'm pretty sure it's against the law to do that.
Okay, I'd have to look that up.
If they run on it hard, like if they say, "Oh, put us in and we will impeach Trump," and then they don't live up to it, it's going to look worse in the long term.
True.
If they run on, "Put us in so we can stop this dictator in power," or this guy with dictator tendencies, stop this from becoming an authoritarian nation, then they can imply that they're going to go for impeachment but not follow through, and then later on they can say, oh, we wanted to go for impeachment, but it wasn't possible, so instead we just blocked him at every turn to make sure he couldn't bring this country down a bad path.
Well,
and yeah, so the real problem with this election is if they get enough people in the House and the Senate, then all of a sudden nothing's going to be able to get done. It'll be gridlocking within American politics.
Well, the interesting thing is that in this video, I think it's around 6 minutes. Let me show.
Basically,
in this video, they talk about what the Democrats should run on. Now, in the video, they mentioned that Obama was a centrist that people believed was a leftist. Hillary Clinton was a centrist, and their idea, and I think we actually spoke about this earlier in the week, is they're going to run on progressive agenda. So he actually references it in this video, where they actually talk about how they're going to run on free healthcare, universal healthcare, free education for universities. They're basically running on a Bernie Sanders 2016 to running on it on 2018. And that...
Go on.
Sorry, I was going to say...
No, I just think they'll run on it. You're great. I agree they'll run on it. I don't think they'll do any of those promises. I reckon they'll run on it, but...
Well, they might try and implement it, but here's the thing. Do you think that's going to be popular? Do you think that will help them in the midterms, or do you think it's going to go against them?
Well, you got to answer yourself. Who gives the Democrats money? Big business.
Big business.
They're gonna do something that won't hurt big business.
Mm-hmm.
They may make all the promises in the world, but they won't hurt big business.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that.
What about
Which long-nosed benefactors give them money?
Sorry, what was that? Sorry, I missed that question.
I was making a joke. I say, which long-nosed benefactors give them money?
Okay, let's stay away from that sort of guy. Come on. But yeah, okay. So
yeah.
Can we get giggling, please, guys?
Yeah, I'll drag him in right now.
So yeah, at the end of the day, obviously, and this is where it gets a little bit rich, where you have Bernie Sanders talking about investors and having this billionaire president when him himself, let's face it, paid more money in taxes than Trump did. You know, like
paid less money in taxes.
No, he actually paid more than Trump. Trump paid less money in taxes than Bernie Sanders.
More as a percentage, but not as an absolute figure.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, you know, look, you know, and obviously you can get into the nitpicking and say, you know, Trump had more deductions and Bernie Sanders made less money, yada, yada, yada. The fact of the matter is that both of these guys, Trump and Bernie Sanders, were both very well off. And here you have Bernie Sanders doing the equivalent of throwing mud on Trump, or trying to anyway, claiming that you have a president which is a billionaire or whatever, I think he's a billionaire in the video, who has gone through and has cut taxes for the rich. But what he doesn't mention is that, yeah, sure, Trump has gone through and cut the taxes, the income tax for the rich by, I think it was like 2%. But he's also removed a lot of the deductions that actually benefit the rich too. So, you know, like in, for example, Australia, where you go through, you actually have deductions where you can claim like fuel for your cars and fleet vehicles and stuff like that. Well, Trump has actually gone through and removed a few of those. And people are actually making the argument that the amount of deductions that Trump has removed outweighs any benefit to the income tax that he's given the rich.
Well, what I hate is when they refer to deductions as spending, or as lowering taxes. It's like letting people keep more of their own money somehow is equated to spending. I just hate when that analogy is made.
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, like I say, you know, the fact is you've got a millionaire flinging mud at Trump for being rich, and it's like, well, you know, like, dude, like, who's going to benefit from your policies? The rich. You're no different. You're no better.
Well, the exciting thing for me in American politics is coming into 2020, you know, Trump will barely have to spend a dime. He barely spent any money in 2016. And Democrats are going to be very, very thirsty for campaign. So they've been the ones pushing campaign reform, finance reform for the last decade and a half. And now they're going to be having to suck a lot of corporate teat to get funded for campaigning. So that'll be really interesting to see them kind of, you know, with their ass up in the air.
Well,
just to ask a quick question.
Sure.
to switch trains for who do you think that actually managed to run against Trump in 2020?
Ooh.
I mean,
Oof, their bench is looking weak.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking.
Do you think
Bernie currently has probably the most control on the left, just purely because it's so fractured up into different cult personality.
He won't run, but he'll be a kingmaker. People will be looking for his endorsement. They want his his following.
Who was
exactly?
That?
Like he can't run.
Who did you say?
I actually
Bernie.
know who's gonna run.
Sorry.
Guess what, guys? It's her turn.
Yeah.
Sorry. Who did you say was going?
Is it her turn finally?
Yep, it's finally her turn.
Sorry. Okay. So hang on. Cook. Who did you reckon was going to run?
I don't see anyone who can run right now.
No.
Bernie Sanders has the most power right now. But as people say,
guys, one at a time. Come on, don't make me go Dave Rubin on you.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cooked.
Well, no, I was just going to say, well, as Gigo just said, Bernie can't really run. He can be a kingmaker. He'll be giving endorsements, and he'll be getting, the young, hip, cool vote who wants socialism. But their entire base is so fractured. They have no superstar. The left runs on superstars. They run on somebody that they've built up over years and given a massive profile to, or they've advertised the fuck out of. And I mean, by this time next year, you'll know exactly who they're going to run, because just like they did with Obama, they'll be putting him into the spotlight constantly.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they'll need to do for 2018 midterms, is really try to build a star in all the conventions and things like that.
Who do you reckon, Giggle? Yeah. Who do you reckon is going to be 2020?
I don't know. As far as their list right now, it's pretty weak, but they have Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris. I'm leaving off a name or two.
What about The Rock? Do you reckon he'll do it?
Dwayne Johnson. Well,
it would be honestly, an interesting race.
He'd have a better chance than Kamala Harris. I mean, the thing is, they need to run. The establishment is going to want to run a middle of the road, Joe Biden, kind of blue dog. Midwestern folksy, Christian, conservative-ish candidate. But then you're going to have all the fringe parties. You're going to have BLM, LGBT, all those parties wanting to run a more progressive candidate. So there's going to be a little bit of a split in the party that can be exploited. And I'm wondering if there's going to be a very strong third-party spoiler on the left.
Well, this is the thing. They're already saying that they're going to run 2018 midterms on a progressive agenda. They're going to run. You missed the first part of it. They're saying they're going to run with, free education, university education, free universal health care. They're literally picking Bernie Sanders' 2016 election promises and making their 2018. So they're already deciding to run with the progressive agenda for the midterms. Do you think they're going to revert back to something more centrist for 2020, though? Or?
I'm sorry, who was saying this? This is like a DNC establishment?
No, this is Bernie Sanders himself is saying they're going to run on a progressive agenda.
Just Bernie.
Yeah, Bernie and Bill Maher.
I mean, that's Bernie. The establishment is not Bernie Sanders.
No,
there's a different thing.
True.
So I think that will pretend to run on those agendas. I think, but I don't think
they will appeal for those voters for sure.
Yeah.
But they also don't want to alienate people that are like, what the hell is these 56 gender thing? I mean, there's a lot of just Christian, more or less conservative Democrats that are just outside the cities in rural areas. And they don't want to alienate them by going too hard progressive publicly. They need to kind of dog whistle the SJW agenda in a way.
Yeah, throw it under the table.
I don't know, because Hillary went full on SJW sort of thing.
She did. She tried to go full virtue signaling, and that just really didn't work for her. I mean, she didn't go full virtue signaling, but she did have a lot of.
She didn't go as far as Bernie did.
No, true.
No, but she didn't let any black people take over her stage. Put it that way.
All right, so let me ask you this question: if Hillary Clinton had been a better candidate for 2016, meaning she didn't run a DNC or didn't run an email server and a fish and chip shop, she didn't have all these WikiLeaks and everything go out against her.
What about Seth Rich?
Yeah, well, she didn't have Seth Rich, all that sort of stuff coming out against her. Do you think it would have been a lot tighter of a race? I don't know if she still would have won it.
It would have been tighter. I still think she would have lost, because besides all her baggage, she's just plain unlikable.
True.
She's not a likable
Yeah,
candidate.
dude, that's like saying if Hillary Clinton wasn't a scumbag, would she have had a better chance?
Well,
and yeah, she would have.
What I'm thinking
But
is,
she was.
you imagine them switching. Say, for example, 2016 wasn't Hillary Clinton. Say it was The Rock Johnson, for example, with his promises, or him making the exact same promises, and they run that in 2020. Is that going to give?
They're going to do.
Yeah, is that going to give Trump a run for his money, and how hard is that going to make the race to win?
Won't. Trump has already benefited America, in my opinion.
True.
Yeah,
Trump really what? Sorry.
If there's a strong economic downturn, there might be a chance. But barring that, I see Trump winning a landslide in 2020.
Yeah, I don't think they're actually going to try too hard in this next election. They're going to just hedge their bets, and they're going to try for the next one. At this point, it's an incumbent president who's done well, who's succeeded when all odds were stacked against him. And he's going to be able to just run on the platform of saying, this is what I've gotten done so far when everybody was against me, when I didn't give a chance. Put me up for another 4 years, you'll see more of the same, and you'll see even more get done. And that's the reality of it. He's going to have, it's going to be a very, very hard uphill battle for them unless something goes seriously wrong. And with pending conflicts on the horizon.
In the split that there is on the left, as far as progressive versus more middle of the road, you have a mirror image on the right as far as kind of outsider Trumpish, and then neocons. That's a little bit more understated. It will be this time around since we have an incumbent, president. We have majority in the House and Senate, but it's still there. It is still there. It's not. It won't be as much of an issue as the split on the left will be in these upcoming two next cycles.
Yeah, well, definitely what Trump has done over the past 18 months is definitely going to help him when it comes to the midterms. Like, my understanding is, and obviously, look, I'm in Australia, so at the end of the day, obviously, it makes it harder for me to say, but my understanding is, and I just reported on this earlier this week, that unemployment levels for the blacks, for black community, is something like a all-time low. It's the lowest unemployment rate it's been since they started recording it in the 1970s or something.
Well, in general, unemployment is the lowest in like 50 years or something.
Yeah, the unemployment level I think was 5.something%. White unemployment I think was around 3.5, and black unemployment was like 5.7 off the top of my head thinking. But yeah.
Well, also, if you looked at our February jobs report, we had like 800,000 people rejoining the workforce.
Yeah. So he's doing a really good job over there. Look, people, and this is where I get so pissy with the left. At the end of the day, they don't give him credit for what he does right. There is.
Sorry, I have to mute myself.
That's fine. I don't care if you sneeze. There's so many things that look. Trump's not perfect. Okay, the Syria thing, I lost my shit over. I fully admit. But at the end of the day, the fact is that the left, they don't sit there and they don't attack him for the things that they should attack him for, which, it's great for him, and they attack him on shit that they shouldn't be attacking him on. Like this whole MS-13 thing. Like, we're going to sit here and we're going to complain about him calling a bunch of MS-13 gang members animals. Well, sorry, but they literally stabbed a guy 100 times, cut out his heart. Like,
yeah, their trademark is decapitating people, I think.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry, that's a little bit animalish to me, and that's coming from a guy who's got a red panda as an avatar. Like, it's a little
gas the red panda.
You're not gonna gas the panda, but what I was gonna say is,
I will gas it one day. I promise you.
But what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, that the MS-13 violence that comes out of them, like I was going through some of the reports of these gang members, and that they have a history of extreme violence. We're not talking, like Godfather sending a dead horse to your house sort of thing. Like, these guys make the Godfather look like a bunch of kindergarten kids. These are really bad mofos. And
mate, there's a video online which you can find on the darker places of the internet of them cutting a guy's chest open and pulling the heart out while he's still alive.
Yeah.
They are not fun people to be around. Their initiation rites are essentially you get your shit kicked out of you and stomped for several, things like 5-10 minutes on on the ground.
Well,
there's a large amount of murderers, a large amount of gangsters in that are actually hardcore people. It's not a joke when it comes to MS-13.
Well, here's an interesting story. I have a customer that comes in where I work, and he's from Washington DC, and he's a Republican, and we talk sometimes when the bosses aren't looking. And he was telling me a story. I think it was on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, where basically the MS-13 gang initiation to get into the group is that you have to go through. While a girl is like at a service station or supermarket or whatever it is, you climb into the back of her car, you kidnap the girl so that you take her back to the hideout, and then the members will take turns gang raping her and murdering her. And this is their initiation to get in the group. Now, taking what he says with a grain of salt, he was telling me about a story where a girl filled up a car at the service station, walked over to the counter because the guy called her over, and apparently while she was filling up a car in the service station, one of these gang members who was doing the initiation climbed into the car and was waiting for her to get back in the car so they could kidnap her and go through this initiation report. Like, this is the way of getting into the group. Like, and they're defending them. They're not saying, oh, they're not all, they're not a bunch of... I'm sorry, no, they're animals. Let's call it for what it is. But, I don't know.
No, I've heard the left say that MS-13 doesn't exist before.
Oh, wow. Really? They went down that path too, did they?
Yeah, I actually heard them say that they don't really exist, that it's just a myth.
Wow. Okay. Well, good luck. Is that something like Hillary's email servers? That didn't exist either too, didn't it?
It's just crazy people. Yeah. Crazy people being crazy. It's the kind of thing where that was happening in Melbourne, where the Apex gang didn't exist, and it was just 1,000% increase in carjackings last year because of just circumstance. It was hot weather.
Well, here's an interesting thing. Have you guys seen? I know you guys aren't real big fans of InfoWars, but InfoWars are currently over London at the moment because they're covering the whole Tommy Robinson thing. And one of the reporters goes around and was talking to the guys over the UK regarding the sudden increase when it comes to knife crimes. And one of the questions he's going around is asking, why do you think there's been this 44% increase in knife attacks over the past year alone? And not one of them had an idea or an answer as to why. Some people went on about, the police don't really enforce crime. One or two of them said that. But that was about as close as they said as to the issue. Now, look, at the end of the day, if a city has a 44% increase in stabbings and knife crimes, to me, that should be alarm bells. That should be me sitting there saying, this is insane. We have a serious problem. But have you guys been reading up on this London thing? What are your thoughts?
I mean, fucking bit. It's got a higher murder rate than New York City at the moment, which is insane to me. And
yeah, it does make you wonder.
So many of the stories that come out of London nowadays.
It does make you kind of wonder what could be causing this sudden intake of murders and crimes.
Yeah, I fucking wonder.
Yeah.
Dude, here's the story that I read. What really ended up just driving the point home for me, and just thinking there is almost no hope left for that place anymore. It was that case where I think it was a 13-year-old girl. She was young at least, and the news reports reported as she was basically accosted and raped at the train station by an Asian man.
Oh, okay. Asian was he?
Yeah, he was an Asian man, but the story gets worse. So apparently this lasted several hours, and there was a few of them who did it. And then after they were all done the deed, they let her go, and she was stumbling that late at night. They tried to flag down the car while she was naked. She flagged down the car, and the car goes out, and another Asian man gets out of the car, grabs her, puts her in a car, and rapes her again.
Yeah, I've heard about this. Yes, yeah. One girl was raped twice.
And it's one girl raped twice in one night by two different parties of Asian descent. Then you look at the CCTV cameras and the names, and it's like Muhammad and Abdul.
Are you saying?
Well, am I right in saying? Am I right in saying that the reason Tommy Robinson was arrested, there was a gag order on him reporting a grooming scandal or some type of pedophile scandal by a gang of Asians, and then he reported on it and he was arrested for that reason? Is that the story?
Okay, so with Tommy, okay,
the gag order came after.
Yeah, so just a little for everybody that's playing at home. When they refer to Asian men, they mean anything from the UK coast to the US coast.
They mean the Asian continent.
Yeah, that whole area, that whole Asian continent. It's a very big, vast land, and it helps when you're not trying to subject a certain race or religion.
I believe there's been a backlash.
Sorry?
I believe there's been a backlash on that from the Asian community saying that, hang on.
From the Orientals? Yeah, they fucking hate it.
Yeah.
They fucking hate it, dude.
Are you
Koreans, Chinese, Japanese.
Are you saying the real Asians might be feeling a little bit jaded over being lumped in with a bunch of rapists and murderers? Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
So
the Japanese have an assault history, but not that bad.
Yeah, well, look, the thing is with the Oriental history and everything like that, they're big on pride and honor and stuff like that. So, yes, lumping them in with a bunch of rapists and murderers because you don't want to subject some certain religion to said crimes, then that is not going to be very pleasing when it comes to the actual Orientals. It's like claiming that, that the Australians are rapists when you're talking about, for example, New Zealand. Or actually, it's even worse than that because, New Zealand you can sort of understand. But what I'm saying is at the end of the day...
No, it'd be like saying the Australians like to sniff petrol and buy method from gas stations instead of alcohol.
Yeah. Instead of some other group.
And you should probably explain to the audience, since they're mostly American, of what that reference means.
Well, for the record, Pong of Hull should probably cover it since he is an Abo.
Yeah, actually, definitely. So Tim Tam, would you like to tell them what the Australian Aboriginals like to do in their spare time and what the drinking paddock is?
Oh, God.
Yeah, am I still going to have a channel after this?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I don't really want to go into
it. Yeah, we probably should.
Yeah, he's busy humping a bag full of spray paint.
But the fact of the matter is well, look, let's not go down that track because I'd like to have some channel left in the future.
I want to go back to the Republicans having enemies, like Trump having enemies in the Republicans.
Well, let's deal with Tommy because there's a little bit of misinformation regarding that, and I do have a bit more information. So to answer the question,
we'll go back to reference after.
Yeah, we'll jump back to that in a sec. So regarding Tommy Robinson, what he was reporting at the courthouse, he was on public ground. Which he had permission from the law enforcement to deal with. So he already had pre-existing permission to film there. Everything he was reporting, from my understanding, was written in the mainstream media. So he wasn't reporting on anything from the court case that was not already publicly known. They've arrested him and tried him with contempt of court. Now, he did plead guilty to it, which I don't understand myself, but judging from what his producer was telling me, they didn't exactly give Tommy a chance to not plead guilty. And I'm starting to wonder if it was a case of plead guilty to this, or we will throw you in a Muslim prison unprotected. And apparently
they've already done that to him twice.
Yeah, well, that's what I think. They might have made sort of a deal where if he pleads guilty, he'll get protective custody. If he doesn't plead guilty, he doesn't get protective custody, and he's in on his own. And look, that's my assumption. That's my estimate as to what's happened. But that would make sense.
Is that the law admitting that the Muslim inmates are not like normal inmates?
Well, like I say, this is my interpretation of what happened, so we don't have them admitting to anything. But if that was the case, then definitely, yeah, that would be them admitting that certain inmates are a lot more rowdy.
That's a good way to put it. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, the interesting thing is that and I do realise there have been comments. I'll get to those comments in a sec. For anyone that's playing along at home. But yeah, they. My understanding is that his lawyer didn't even get a chance to represent Tommy before they gave him a public defender and threw the book at him. So, like, I did make a video about this earlier in the week. That at the end of the day, I would very much say, at the very least, there has to be a new trial, and at the very best, charges have to be dropped. But
you know what he was like charged with, right? You know why he was.
Yeah, they charged.
Just point for a second. Might want to introduce yourself. English. What you'd rather be called, etc. During the conversation, rather than the names we usually have for you on the Discord.
Just go with fucking Israel, since it's like what I've been called for the longest time now.
Sure.
All right.
I'm an English person who is probably very much not politically aligned with you guys. So.
Well, interesting thing you mentioned that, because
you're not far from nonpartisan.
Yeah, you're pretty much the same as me.
How do you feel about the Tommy Robinson case?
I mean, what he ended up being charged with was reasonable considering he was on parole.
But you do realise everything that he was talking about was public knowledge already.
But there was a media ban. There was a reporting ban. It was as simple as.
Yeah, but the reporting ban... Well, actually, we don't know if the reporting ban was before or after. But if the media is already...
It was, we know.
Okay.
We know that it existed.
So how can mainstream... So how can mainstream media can report on this, and how can he can read out mainstream reports and they not get the same treatment?
Because it was the court case that was that had the media ban, so you couldn't report anything about the court case. So you couldn't report it, what magistrates it was being held, who was going up, who was defending. You couldn't say any of that. That was banned because the Independent, I think it was the Independent, had already, or the Guardian, one of the two, had already filed to nullify the court order of a media ban.
Because everything he was reading out on the live stream, he got from mainstream media. As far as my understanding was, there was no other information except for what was already public knowledge.
Yeah,
well, do you think a legal media ban against reporting a court case is reasonable?
No.
Well, it depends. If it's a jury case, then yes, I would say it's reasonable.
But they were already at sentencing phase. They had already done the court case.
Well, it's so with cases like this, it's important because people, obviously it's such a fucking heinous crime that they deserve, if they've committed the crime, they deserve all the fucking time in the world in jail to rot.
Of course, yeah.
But if someone sees it, and it's like we have it because of the mosque attack and stuff like that, because it's such a high intensity court case. It's such a like vitriolic fucking thing. Obviously, if you see someone who's like raped kids, you want to fucking kill them.
Yeah.
And you want to kill anyone you associate with. And there's a lot of unhinged people who would do that. And it's to protect families of the accused, for the most part. Not that I agree with it, it's just that's why it exists. It's to protect families.
But do you think it was...
So that was the next question I was going to ask you. Sorry, I was right. I was trying to say, so even though that's the official statement that they arrested him because of this gag order and because of XYZ, right? And I can understand that if there's a gag order on the whole thing, it's to make it so there isn't vigilante justice to be done to keep stability within the city. They don't want him reporting that because it will rile up more people. However, so the two questions I have is, do you agree with this stance? Basically, so like, do you agree with the gag order in the first place? And the second one, do you think that that was actually the reason why they went and arrested him particularly, or do you think that that's just the excuse?
I think they would have taken any chance, any law that Tommy Robinson broke to arrest him, especially with him being on a suspended sentence.
So we're basically on the same page then.
He kind of fucked up. Like, he did something like that shouldn't be illegal, but it is.
He jaywalked essentially. He jaywalked, and they got and they did it for it. Yeah.
They would have taken. I imagine they would have taken any chance to arrest him because he's. I think what they worry about in the UK is the reaction that these things cause. They worry about like violence between, but it all it does is cause more violence when people in the, because all that working class like white British people would need to hear from the fucking Pakistani community is this is disgusting. We will fucking, like, that's all they need to do. That literally, to have cohesion in Britain, all they would need to do is go, we're gonna fucking rat these people out. These people are gonna be fucking pulled out in the street and made fucking examples of. But that's not what's happening, unfortunately. So I think they worry about racial tension because it's becoming more of a thing now in the UK, especially with Pakistani people of Pakistani descent. So it's I don't think there should be a gag order though. There definitely should not be a gag order on cases. Yeah. Like, by all means redact names. By all means do that. But don't fucking, I don't think we should shy away from acknowledging how disgusting these cases are.
Yeah, being able to, not being able to report on it, not being able to talk about it is just ridiculous, in my opinion.
Well,
I think
the idea behind a gag order is that it's going to prevent a disruptive reaction. But in crimes as heinous, maybe a disruptive reaction is warranted. Right?
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. At the end of the day, doesn't the public have a right to know about all these rapes and pedophile grooming gangs that are going on?
They know. It's just the officials don't care. They know. We know
what does
how.
That say about your people? You elect leaders that don't care about them.
It says that they're so ethnically divided and so racially divided that they don't have a solid people, a solid core group anymore.
I don't think it's. I don't think it's ethnic division. I think it's class division in the UK. I think it wouldn't matter if, like, you're black, brown, or yellow, or white. Like, the boot's still on your fucking neck. They don't give a fuck.
So, how many white grooming gangs are there then?
So not grooming gangs, but there's plenty of white pedophiles.
No, yeah, but grooming gangs.
Institutionalized pedophilia
that are protected and have actual gargoyles.
Gargoyles. Sorry.
So we had classified. Now we have to classify sexual grooming of minors under two categories. So they use standard pedophilia, which targets people, vulnerable people who are within your community who you have reach of. And then there's grooming gangs, and about 82% of those are Pakistani, Kashmiri, Bangladeshi. But there are white people obviously involved, there are women involved. So it's not just all brown people. It's just
who are they targeting in them? Just curious.
So mostly white and Sikh working class girls.
So they were targeting mostly white and Sikh. What? The Sikh can't be that big of a population, can it? What a
we have the world's second biggest Sikh population, so yes, our Sikh population is pretty big.
But my question is, well, I was going to say, the question is, why are they like? I understand them targeting the white women. I don't agree with it, but I can understand why they're doing that. But what's the deal with the Indians? Why would they have a problem with the Sikh women?
Because Pakistani Muslims and Sikhs have never got on.
Oh, okay. So it's just that history, that bloodshed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I imagine if we had a more represented Hindu population, they target those as well.
So why do they target white women? May I ask that?
Because we don't believe the same thing.
Because white women are haram. They're haram. They're dirty.
Yeah.
They're not
Well, no, they're
worthy.
sexy. Have you ever seen brown women? They're gross for the most part.
Yeah, go on. But yeah, also the fact is that they believe, you are talking about a religion where they believe that if you dress slutty, so to speak.
Wait. Don't bring religion into this. How many white Muslims are raping people?
There is some.
Yeah, it's definitely religion.
It's definitely based on the religion.
It's also.
I'm pretty sure it's a combination of both of them.
It's definitely a combination of like the dislike of Sikhs, Indians, and whites, because like.
No, but you can't just ignore the racial element to this as well.
No,
it does come down to genetics. We don't have to argue, but it seems like Israel has just kind of tried to shy away from that. I know you don't like to make that distinction, but it essentially comes down to higher T levels, genetic selection, etc. We had this conversation the other day.
Yeah.
But
I don't think
compare it to say the Aboriginal.
I don't think that's what's.
I don't think this is the sole cause. I'd say be a contributing factor.
I'm just asking how many white Muslims are raping people. That's all I'm asking.
I mean, I don't have the numbers, so I couldn't tell you.
My understanding is that the Muslim population, or the Asian, population, which is, as we've said, is around 85 to 90%. So there is roughly around, say, 10 to 15% that are not of the certain skin tone. Now look, at the end of the day, and as Cook has said, and yeah, obviously, look, at the end of the day, there is a overwhelming majority of people that are from a certain colour that are doing this. As for the whites, I think you would find that if you took away the religion, they would probably still have those thoughts, and I believe they're using the religion to justify why it's okay. But yeah, there's definitely.
I think that's why they gravitate towards religion in the first place, mate.
Exactly,
they gravitate towards that religion in the first place because it's barbaric.
There is a very uncomfortable amount of rape and sexual assault and paedophilia that happen within the UK that isn't properly prosecuted by every race.
Yeah,
there is definitely a systematic issue with the prosecution of sex crimes in the UK.
I don't think it's just in the UK. I think it's everywhere. And as I said this. I said this earlier in the week. I was listening to the radio, a late night radio show, and within the spate of about an hour and a half, we had 3 people calling into the radio station that were telling about their 12, 14, 10-year-old kids that were being groomed by elderly men in Australia, and that the police were very reluctant to charge them with anything serious. That one of the guys was charged with supplying alcohol to a minor because it was easier to arrest the guy for that, but they stayed away from talking about the fact that he was also grooming. Like this is a guy that literally came into a kid's room the full story. When the dad came home, he went to bed around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, according to this report. His son woke him up around 3 o'clock in the morning saying, Dad, there's people talking outside in our backyard. So the dad's gone outside at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they had like a fire pit in the backyard. And here is the daughter that was well underage. I think she was around 12, 14 at that time, who was literally sitting in the backyard with a open fire that they had lit, with a bunch of complete strangers that she had met off the internet. Now, these strangers were 40, 50-year-old men. They had travelled down up from Australia, up to Ipswich or Gympie, I think it was. I think he said Gympie. And they were literally sitting in the backyard, giving his daughter cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, you name it. Now, I believe it was the same guy that was also saying that once he kicked the guys out of the actual house, out of the backyard, and asked them to leave and whatnot, eventually they did. Eventually the daughter woke up to the fact that they were trying to groom her. She said she didn't want anything to do with them anymore. One of the guys actually kidnapped this person and actually sodomized the girl back at their house and gave her alcohol and whatnot to have their way with her. Now,
am I the only one thinking as soon as like some random strangers were in my backyard with my daughter, I'd get a knife or my gun?
Well,
like,
oh yeah, dude, I don't understand like, how it's just like
Christ.
Yeah.
Like if I had a gun around, I'd be pulling a gun out and I'd be you guys fucking.
Well, I do.
No,
fucking hell.
leaving. You all on the fucking floor until I call it the cops.
Yeah, well, I'm going to try and find. I'm going to try and find the audio.
You all get down on the ground or get shot.
Yeah, I'm going to try and find the audio because these guys who rung in had they had text reports, text messages, and everything with these guys literally trying to groom this 12 or 14-year-old, whatever it is, daughter. I'll find the actual audio so I can go back and play it through the YouTube channel.
It happens all the time during Operation Chalice, which was the operation in Telford to like find the ringleaders of the grooming gangs.
Mm-hmm.
They had 7 men on trial, and I think 5 girls were testifying. One of the younger girls, I think she was 13. When in an open court in the UK, that you're allowed a barrister each. You're allowed a defense barrister each person who is being charged. So what happens is 7 defense barristers get to cross-examine witnesses. So you imagine a 13-year-old girl who has been repeatedly raped, who is under suspicion by the police for drug charges, for all these crimes. She's sat in court, she's having a name smeared. They ended up losing the case because the girl was so badly traumatized in the court, she ended up killing herself, and because they'd lost a witness, they lost the case, and those 7 people walked free.
And this is why you should just give them a bullet.
Yeah, well, look at the end.
This is why you don't gargle all the fucking stories.
Yeah, well, look at the end.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me say something. At
All
the end,
you have to do is
hang on.
Here's a white man who got away with it. White taxi driver from Croydon, London, was thought to be responsible for over 100 rapes, was charged with 19 offences of rape, kidnap and drugging.
How long ago were between the rapes? I'd asked on that, but
they think it was like in the span of like 15 years he'd raped all these women while he was a taxi driver.
Yes, but who was witnessing? Who was doing it? Like, if it's a 50-year-old case, they can't really do much.
No, it's not. It's not a 50-year-old case. It was in the early 2000s. He got prosecuted, went to jail 9 years later. So it must have been like the mid 2000s, like late 2000s. He was prosecuted, went to jail. He was up for parole this year.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, I'm not going to say there aren't white people that do some heinous acts. We definitely know there is. But at the end of the day, there is a overwhelming majority of people who are of a certain colour who do seem to do these sort of acts. But, you know, like I say, look, I know what you're saying. It's not everyone. It's hashtag not all. We get that. But you do definitely have a large percentage coming from a certain group. And yeah, look, you can go through the times and find white people that have done some terrible things. Hell, we have Ivan Milat in Australia who's done, you know, he chopped up backpackers. But yeah, but when you have...
Yeah, but there's an argument for that he's actually quite insane.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. We don't know what these people of the... And look, obviously, some of these people that are gang raping these people, obviously they might be insane too. We don't know the whole situation. But at the end of the day, I would say, look, here's an interesting thing. While we're on a demonetized stream, because there's no way this stream is ever getting monetized, have you guys seen the video where Lauren Southern talks about the white ethno-state?
No, I have not.
So no, I haven't either.
Okay, so
Jiggly, you have.
Yeah.
Wait, who is that? Is that Jess Southern's ugly sister?
Hey! Leave my waifu alone, all right?
I think her sister's more attractive than she is, personally, but that's me.
Can your chat see what I put in the chat?
I believe so. Oh, hang on. Oh, what? No, what you're typing in Discord? No. They can see comments that you post in chat that comes up on the side of the screen too. Let me get this video for you.
But they can't see images. But they can't see images, right?
No, they can't. No.
All right, good.
But what I was going to say was, so Lawrence.
I'd be scared for a minute.
Lawrence Southern was doing an interview with.
Go on.
I'm not sure who it was now, actually. I was gonna say, I think it was someone from Rebel Media, or oh, hang on, it might have been the Canadian guy.
Oh, there's a lot of them, unfortunately.
Yeah, you know, the guy with the eyebrows and the ears. No, the guy that was Gavin McGuinness.
I mean, everyone has eyebrows, hopefully.
Yeah, I was being silly when I say that. Actually, let me, if you guys want to fill in the dead air, so to speak, and let me see if I can find this.
Alright, no problem.
Did she ever release that documentary on South Africa? I know she was working on it for a while. They
actually talk about that in this actual stream, which I think was the reason for the actual stream. She says in that it was going to be released later that day or the next day. And this was only a couple of days ago. So at the end of the day, it looks like it might be coming out really soon. You're talking about farmlands there, aren't you?
So what do you guys think has caused the increased murder rate in London?
Coloured people.
Do you think it's just brown people?
Okay, no. Okay, let's talk about South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You have more murders in a day with black people there than you did when white people were in control in an entire year. Think about that. One day of murders versus an entire year. Why do you reckon that is?
Probably partly due to the destabilization of the country.
Why was it destabilized?
I thought you said Jews for a second. Due to the destabilization. Okay.
No.
Come on, guys.
Sadly,
come on.
I don't buy into the whole Jews run everything because I don't get to see shit. I don't get any money from this Jewish propaganda. So.
Okay, so
I'm pretty pissed off that I've been sold down the river by my fellow kikes. Man, it's fucked.
So what I was going to say, but the actual video I'm talking about was actually, it's with Andrew Worski. I completely butchered that anyway. I will post a link to the actual chat or to the actual thing, but
so when did Africa become stabilized?
I will be right back. I'm just going to speak to an attack.
Yep.
Okay.
Obviously, after apartheid ended.
Oh, really? Why do you reckon that? Why did it destabilize that?
I mean, could you, I imagine some of them are pretty pissed.
Why didn't America destabilize when they freed all the slaves?
Because you guys didn't give them any rights when you freed them.
But they have rights
I'm not
now.
American.
Yeah. But they do have rights now. Yeah. Like, they could always go back and... I know what he's trying to get you to say. I think you know what
What about Abos? What about when we gave rights to the land back to the Abos? Why didn't we see any stabilization then?
There wasn't fucking enough of them to destabilize anything.
There was a few. Okay, so I don't think it's so much... If you want to talk about why the UK has a problem with grooming gangs and stuff like that and violence now, I definitely think it is multiculturalism that is doing it. It is the mass immigration that is doing it. I'm not saying it's just a certain race or religion, although there is arguments for a certain religion being more than others. But anyway, moving along. But at the end of the day, I think it's a clash of culture more than anything. You have...
someone wants in. Someone wants in.
Yeah, I just got in.
Alright, cool.
He's out now.
No, that was. Yeah, no, he was just here to talk to satellite.
I think it's personally mostly Islam that's the issue in the UK.
Yeah.
That's my...
Yeah, but...
I don't think it's brown people. I think it's Islam.
Well, yeah, there is that argument that it is not so much a colour thing, but a racial thing, as a religion thing.
Can I actually say here? What can I actually say? What happens if we found proof that it was racial? What would you think then, may I ask?
That it's a problem that isn't solved by just kicking people out when people have been born here. That's the issue.
Yeah, that's fine. So what would you do then? And we could 100% prove it was race. What would you do?
You would put societal pressures on those groups to perform.
So you would target certain groups, would you? You're for targeting certain groups.
You wouldn't target them. You would just treat them the same as everybody else. So if they break a law...
Isn't that what we've been doing? If not, we've been giving them leeway?
We haven't, no. We haven't been properly targeting. We've been too scared to target. It's Islam. The issue in the UK is Islam. We've been too scared to talk about and target crimes committed by Muslims because we are best friends with Saudi Arabia. We sell Saudi Arabia a fuck ton of weapons. We make a fuck ton of money off them. And when they do that, they fund mosques and they let Wahhabi hate preachers into the country to radicalize young men and women. And that's the issue.
Listen, this is getting a bit off topic and it's getting into a conversation that we've been having quite a bit with you recently. I would just say on this, 50% of the people in the juvenile correctional facility in Australia are made up of Aboriginal children. They're not Islamic. It's clearly down to two things here. There's a racial condition and then there's also the societal cultural condition that they're in, which you can say stems purely from circumstance and blah, blah, blah. But they also have, an average of like 65 IQ and... It's hard to just he say it's all
in the religion. UK. The majority of the issue is the rest of the world. It's different. We are the native.
This issue exists everywhere. Wait a second. But this issue exists everywhere, and it shows a high propensity amongst people of certain races, where they essentially end up doing violent crime or blah blah blah. Now, anyway, we can have this conversation later. Let's stop shitting up Nonpartisan stream for this, and Singapore, and you can go at it for a while because that'd be very entertaining for me.
I would just
we have
just
an
like
artist
to
in now.
Yeah, I'd just like to introduce. She's here. She was talking about the ACT issue that she's having.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to her about this actually. Yeah, so I cooked.
Hi, g'day.
Hi.
What's ACT?
So ACT is
ACT is the Australian Capital Territory.
Yeah.
That's where I am.
One of our small. Oh, okay, there you go. That's like one of the smallest in Australia, even though it's our capital territory. So.
Are we talking about that story?
What?
No, we're just gonna change streams for a second because we've kind of. We've gotten to a bit of an imposition with the Green Gangs. We all agree it's a horrible thing and that they're all pieces of shit who are doing it. And now we're just kind of getting on to whether it's Islam or race thing, which is not really what Nonpartisan really likes to have on his channel.
No, I'm not talking about that. Our topic now is we're going to talk about the Australian grooming gang. What happened?
Oh, no. Nonpartisan's still trying to find that audio, but Anita here.
Just call me Kat. Most people call me Kat.
All right. Tak here. She actually apparently headed that skywriting campaign over Sydney saying "Vote No," which that was awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah, we did. We did Brisbane and Melbourne as well. We did sky banners in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Is this for gay marriage?
Yes.
Yeah, it was for gay marriage, because the reason why most of us wanted to vote no, it was not because of a religious thing or whatever. It was because we knew that the next thing that comes afterwards is anti-discrimination laws and further restrictions on free speech and
it took them less than a week to say, okay, we've got gay marriage, now we've got to keep the fight going. So, you know, it's we've sort of been proven right on that one already.
Well, within 12 hours the next morning, I was listening to Question Time, and they were talking about literally that next morning afterwards how they need anti-discrimination laws to protect the rights of homosexual couples, which they've just instituted. So, we were all right.
I'm just wondering, Anatak, you also are quite well versed in the Safe Schools program, I imagine.
Yeah, I've been doing that for quite a while, and I've been looking at a slightly different angle to everyone else has been doing the outrage thing with the materials. Although I do point out the materials quite a bit, but I tend to point out things like messaging on the legal age and things that's quite often missing in a lot of the material and things like that, rather than just going, look at the horrible things they're showing our children kind of thing. I look more at the long-term manipulation impact that the language restrictions and things they're adding to it have to it. I've ended up focusing on Safe Schools, but I actually got into it because my daughter came home complaining that apparently she was an evil white person. So
what?
When she was in Year 6, yeah, her school they've been doing Invasion Day for quite a few years now.
And you're still sending your child to the school?
No,
what?
no,
yeah,
no. I've been homeschooling for the last year and a half.
Yeah, this is probably a good argument for it.
It was Safe Schools that made me go no more, because I spent 6 months saying, are you going to tell my daughter that gender is a biological thing 99% of the time, except for that small 1% that have an issue with it? Are you going to tell her that some things are a norm? It's fine to be one of the different ones, but just give them honest messaging. So is gender binary or is it fluid in the next school year? And in 6 months they couldn't give me an answer, and got towards the end of the year and they said, oh, we're going to do some training and decide that in the Christmas holidays. And I said, sorry, this is negligence, and ripped her out of school. So
okay, so
yeah, there's a lot of UN stuff and things going on in the schools.
Wait. I'm just gonna have to say, I'm gonna go, guys. I'm gonna bounce.
That's fine.
This shit's depressing.
No worries, dude.
Thanks for jumping in.
It is very depressing. It is very depressing.
So look,
I don't
bounce like a little baby Joey in a kangaroo pouch.
So
pretty much.
I was trying to find an audio section on a video which I found, by the way. So welcome for joining us.
Yeah,
can I ask, so you guys aren't against the idea of gay marriage? It's just the idea of all the laws that they're trying to enforce afterwards.
I've got a teenager, right? So obviously she's got all these other teenage friends. They're 13, 14, 15 years old, so they're right at that age. They are full on into the identity politics, some of them. My daughter describes one of her friends as a lefty, and I'm not allowed to speak around her. Most of them aren't too bad, but most of them have some sort of alternate identity. Hardly any of them are just cisgendered straights, okay? Now, they're not crazy kids or anything, do you know what I mean?
They're just being brainwashed.
Yeah, well, I remember being a kid heaps, all right? I was right into metal, and I was right into this, right into that. And so I kind of get the little obsessive thing they've got on the subject, but it's just so worrying that it's just so much of them, and it's a potentially such a, I mean, I'm sure we could have damaged ourselves headbanging and moshing and stuff, but, this is just a little bit more than that. This is... Yeah, well, it does make you wonder how much of this... does make you wonder how much of this is actually being taught through schooling education. That if there is there's a lot of messaging we don't realise that's going on, do you know what I mean? Like, I had one of those days where I just went, how did I not know how... And because it's like, it may not all be blatant and full on in their face, but if you look at all the different angles, at civics, nationality, belief systems, gender and identity, and all these things that they're getting chucked at them right from preschool now, because we think kids, apparently they're going to deal with adult issues because, they're all haters, so we've got to give them all tolerance training from the time they're born.
Oh, God.
It's just, do you know what I mean? It's just... Yeah.
It's weird because I don't think children are ever born inherently.
Neither do I.
Bigoted.
And
I think bigotry is something that's learned. It's definitely a learned.
Yeah, so one of my big things is, why are more people offended that they're being told that the majority of us are raising these hateful things that have to have their entire identity molded by the state so that they can all get along? It's just, I don't know. We've managed this far. Not too badly, so.
I don't understand the sexual education, like all that like a child that is like learning about its body needs to know is like, you have a penis or a vagina, or in the very rare case you're intersex, you have a little bit of both, but you'll have probably had sexual reassignment surgery at a very young age so that you can grow into your genitals. And all that kids need to know is, don't put stuff up there or put in stuff. That's it.
And now they're being taught that, you know, and I'm not joking, there's a year 5 thing in Victoria that tells them that the only part of their what do you call it? I guess, say downstairs, because it's boys and girls, that isn't a sexual organ is their bladder.
So hang on, their kidney is a sexual organ?
No, but okay.
Anything down near the private parts.
Yeah, anything, you know, if it's the, you know, everything is part of the sexual organs, and they get told quite young it can feel good if things get done to things, and which is, you know, true, but it's the way it's being put, and they keep being told things like, if an older child or an adult does something, that's really bad, whereas they're not being discouraged from not putting things, as you said, not putting things up each other's butts. So,
well, that's
the idea of experimentation is being opened up.
We have pediatric gynecology for a reason, because sometimes little girls put stuff up them, sometimes boys put their stuff in stuff.
It's like putting things in their nose.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a new hole to stick stuff in. They're fucking stupid.
Yeah, but okay, but that granted, when I was a kid, I didn't decide to go sticking a crayon up my you know what. I might have tried to stick it up my nose, but I didn't try and stick it up my ass.
They're trying to use all these excuses about it being protective and everything, but we're seeing a massive increase in peer-on-peer young sexual violence, and that's, you know.
I don't know why we don't just teach our kids, like, this isn't okay.
We're the adults. You know? It's up to us, you know. If there's too many boobs out in public in the middle of the day, well, it's up to us to get the boobs friggin' well covered up, isn't it? Like, you know, it's not just to say, oh, they're going to see porn, so let's teach them all about porn when they're 10 years old so that they know what they're going to see.
Let kids discover themselves on their own time, or let parents educate them.
And that's another thing. They're taking all the joy and discovery out of things because they're telling them what's meant to happen.
Well, that as well, and like, I get why sexual education is done at school, because some people don't have good parents. Some kids don't have good parents, and that needs to be taught. You know, that you're gonna have your period, because like, especially for girls, because that's fucking terrifying. If you don't know what a period is, and one day you wake up and there's blood everywhere, it's fucking scary shit.
It is, yes, you could be dying.
But like stuff like that, like, just I don't know why we don't teach kids like respect. Like, no one is allowed to touch you in your like swimsuit area at all, ever, unless you tell them they can, and you don't get that choice.
Well, the kids don't get the choice to say swimsuit area, by the way, and they don't get the choice to just say privates. They have to use the proper words. They have to learn the proper words from, like, year 1, year 2, year 3. They need to be able to use, you know, labia majora, minor.
But
all of
I think like, obviously when you get older, you should understand like what the parts of the body do.
Yeah.
But when you're a kid, it's just your privates. Like, you might know what they are. You might have like medical textbooks at home, and you might have looked, but I don't think it's important.
No, there's each at their own pace too. It's, you know, some may need it at 8 or 10, others don't need it till they're older. It's you know, every kid's different.
Like, I think the only important thing that like sex education does is to make sure that like I think it should be there in case a kid is getting touched at home, and so they know that it's not okay, so they know to tell someone. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's the only the only defense you can have against something like that is to be like, no one should touch you there. If they do, tell someone.
Yeah.
So we can at least not
that's all it should need to be, you know, and the majority of parents are going to be giving that messaging, and as you said, there are some who are going to not be getting it, so they do need that. But when they're having to finish cartoon strips in primary school about different assault scenarios and things like that, or finish stories off, or spend 20 minutes discussing 10 questions about, you know, their dad's friend Robert who comes over to help them build Lego.
Why do they need to know that this is reality?
There's no need for those discussions and that.
No,
focus.
they don't.
And when the textbooks say that they need to de-roll and de-stress at the end of the lesson, just in case some of them have gotten caught up in the scenario, that's telling you something about what they're doing to our kids. You know what I mean? When their brains are at their most.
Why the fuck do they need to tell kids that this is I don't think a kid needs to know that this is the reality of the world for quite some time.
No, they can know there's scary things out there and that there's bad people and bad things, but the detail, the intimate details, I think that's just, yeah.
So you've been looking into this. You've been looking into this School Safe program, I presume that.
Yep. I even wrote to the ACT government. A big thing on why safe schools is grooming, and used the Royal Commission into institutional abuse as my reference right through it. So.
And did you have any feedback from the ACT government about this?
I managed to hold them up for 12 months, so.
But they've
only just managed to get their new one out, which they only managed to pass. They only managed to actually put their new program through when gay marriage passed. So.
And is this Labor, Liberals? Who's I'm not sure who's in charge of ACT at the
Labor.
moment.
We have Australia's only gay chief minister. He's been our chief minister for quite some time, which wouldn't be an issue except he hates conservatives. He's called us Neanderthals, rednecks, or you name it.
Okay. Interesting guy. Yeah.
He's a lovely bloke.
Yeah.
Because we're all bigots.
Right.
Certainly not.
Even though he's calling us all those names, where he refers to conservatives as bigots, does he? That's interesting in itself. Yeah.
And they didn't particularly like that I exposed that the education department had no idea what sexuality education was actually being taught in any of the government schools. So, no idea of the actual material. So that was interesting. So there's been a few things that have been going on. Yes, I have gotten quite into it. I speak to Political Posting Mama and Stella White and all of those ones from Victoria.
Yeah.
And the ones in Queensland. I was part of the group that found the petition response from the Queensland minister just before the Queensland election that showed that they'd actually been running safe schools the whole time. And had promised to do as such, so
wow.
With the education minister's signature on it, so we're getting pretty good at digging things up, even though we're just a bunch of parents. So.
Well, I was going to say there's Satellite in the chat, which is obviously runs his BitChute channel, and you got my details obviously. If you want to give us any information regarding this, I know I'd definitely run it, and I presume Sat will probably run it as well. But if you have any information, feel free to give it to anybody or even other YouTubers too, because this sort of stuff, it does need to be exposed. And look,
I got really lucky. I've had a bit of help from Suit Yourself and Gary Awesome. As I said, my channel's very dry because it's mostly factual. I do a couple of dumb things like the odd parody and whatnot, but other than that.
Suit Yourself does really good stuff,
They've helped when we've had rallies and bits and pieces going on to help get the word out, so that's been really good. But we've lost Suit Yourself now, as you know, he's been completely deleted off YouTube, so...
Yeah, I heard about that. So, I don't know what the reason
for that. That was hard to hear.
Yeah, apparently they didn't like his... I'm waiting for my channel to get it, actually. It was one of his videos that he did on the whole gender fluid thing, and they decided some of the language he'd used was just terribly
politically incorrect.
And that was the end of it. And they'd given his channel back a couple of times on different things and decided not this time, because he has been victim of a few flagging campaigns and things.
Yeah.
As much as I disagree with some of the shit you guys say, I would never ever say that you didn't have the right to say it. Like, I hope you guys know that. As much as I fucking disagree at times, you have all the right in the world to hold
we
these
understand.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we like having you around, because you have an open mind and you actually like to talk about things, not just scream bigot.
Oh, what good is, like, it just makes me look bad. It makes my points of view look bad.
The fact is that, look,
absolutely,
and this is what I've fully admitted to Sat and to Cooked in that I'm not heavily on the right. I'm a centrist, and at the end of the day, if you give me a choice between someone on the right or someone on the left, I'll fully admit now the people on the right, they're a lot more honest with their intentions. You go into a server, Discord server like last night on the left, and it is all doublespeak. It is all trying to twist
mate,
your meanings around and stuff.
They were telling you that you're apparently a bigot.
Yeah.
You were basically, an alt-right Nazi.
Yeah. They branded everybody an alt-right Nazi.
Discord did you go into last night? What's the story there?
Oh, we have a whole live stream for it, man. I'm going to give you the invite and just enjoy yourself over there. You probably get muted, possibly deafened, banned from posting in the chat for pretty much nothing.
The funny thing is that
if they don't like what you say, you're gone.
Yeah,
I have a 4.5-hour recording on my BitChute of it, so you can watch that.
Have you uploaded that yet, sir?
I have.
Sweet. Okay, you want to give us a link to that, and I'll add that to the comments below so people can go and check that out if they want.
Have you guys spoken about Ireland's repeal of the 8th?
Regarding the 8th. Sorry, I'm not sure what that is specifically.
Abortion.
Abortion
laws.
Yes, the abortion.
We did that a couple of weeks ago, but if you want to add something on that. But I'd also want to talk to...
No, I was just wondering because it's gone through now, and it's only Northern Ireland that has any sort of abortion law in place that isn't, the standard 24 weeks, unless it's a threat to the mother's life or the child is in some way, not gonna be the best. It's going to be fucked up in some way.
Well, I wanted to talk to 76 regarding the actual skywriting campaign, if she wants to talk about that.
Sure. What would you like to know?
Which
I wasn't in charge of it, by the way. No. It's just because I already had this rotten court case thing going. My name and whatnot had already been kind of doxed, so we used me. So.
Sure. Yeah. And what I'd like to know, well, first of all, if you'd like to tell us what actually happened. So, for the people who are playing along at home, there was obviously the single-sex or same-sex marriage survey that went out in Australia probably, 6 months ago, I'd say now? Was it 6 months? Yeah, late last year.
No, it's actually nearly 12 months ago now.
Nearly 12 months.
Because we started it in September, the skywriting. So.
Cool. All right. So yeah, it was almost 12 months ago, and basically it was a very heated debate, to say the very least. But at the end of the day, there was a skywriter that wrote "Vote No" on the Sky regarding the same-sex marriage. Now,
don't forget that there was actually one of their Vote Yes rallies going on underneath where we wrote Vote No.
Okay, well that just makes it funny. So while there was a rally going for the Vote Yes campaign, someone wrote Vote No in the sky above. So
that wasn't deliberate, but they thought it was deliberate. So.
Oh, okay, yeah. Apart from that, so the skywriter was doxed, his business was doxed, his family members was doxed. I believe.
Yep.
And
he got a lot of threats. He got so many threats. He had to get security.
Mm-hmm.
They were threatening to take his plane out of the sky, pretty much. It was, and then thousands and thousands and thousands of threats, and some pretty nasty shit happened to our poor.
So tolerant.
The other pilot got mostly verbal abuse online, but the Sydney one, he copped it. So.
And apart from that, so apart from all the threats, which I presume the police department did a bang up job of investigating.
Oh, yeah.
You know, really taking those.
I've seen so many people.
Yep, definitely. Yep, taking those threats very, very serious. Of course, the police department. But yeah, but what? How did you get mixed up in this? What happened after all that? So why did they dox you? And
well, because of I've been quietly doing my safe school stuff for a couple of years.
Yep.
I've picked up quite a few Christian followers and right-wing followers and all sorts of things. So I've been invited to post in all sorts of various groups, public and private.
Yep.
And there's one little right-wing group that I hang out with, and I actually jumped into the conversation to tell them something else that I'd found, you know, because that's what I do. Hey guys, look what I just found in this document.
Yep.
And they were in the middle of going, so what if we write this across the sky, and how do we get the money in? And they were trying to figure it out. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So they had the plan half formulated.
Yep.
And I was just like, that's awesome. Let me know when you get finished. I'll donate. And so they got it all set up. And I was discussing it with them and, you know, reading their bits of stuff only because I was lucky enough to be in the little group that was kind of doing it.
Yeah, right time,
and then
right time.
We had the complaints. We got the complaints to GoFund because they started a GoFundMe, and it was like it was mostly focused on the traditional marriage side of things. Although saying that this is a very diverse group that's doing it, there was about 8 or so of us. And I think I was the only female involved, but it's not really relevant. But anyway, nice bunch of blokes. And then GoFundMe got hit with who are these people, rah, 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 rah. Now, we did try and put up a thing saying, look, we'd rather not put our actual real details out there because things were already getting pretty nasty response-wise. As soon as we started, they hit us.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, we ended up, because I'd been working as Cat A Clayton. I've actually even been up to, and I've had to fix up at the door. I've been invited up to Parliament House under Cat A Clayton, so which is a fake or pseudonym I've been using for years. And so we initially used that, and that was fine. But then, not really sure what happened. We got back. GoFundMe seized the account until we provided a ID and stuff. So we actually, one of the guys actually paid for the first run that we paid for out of his own pocket. So one of the guys is there going, I'm now about $3,500 down. You know, I hope we can get these funds unfrozen, kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, which we eventually did, and it stirred the crap out of them. And then we did a few in Brisbane, which the media pretty much ignored. And then the Melbourne one, yeah, again that managed to. Well, we knew Melbourne and stir them up. So, and my favourite photos from that is a big no over La Trobe University. So, which, for those of you who don't know, is responsible for our Safe Schools program and a lot of other left-wing nonsense. So, yeah.
Okay, and I'm not sure. Obviously, look, at the end of the day, I'm not sure what you can and can't talk about publicly. But so they've gone through, and yeah. So what happened after? I'll let you tell the story because that way you know what you can and can't talk about.
Oh, about the sharing a link?
Yeah. So yeah, well, obviously with the vote no. So obviously the funds were raised, the campaign was continued. What was the outcome of that campaign? Are you allowed to say?
The outcome was fine. We didn't actually raise as much as was spent completely, but that was fine. We seem to have gained a fair bit of notoriety from it, and unfortunately I'm the only one whose name was attached to it. So.
And what happened with the sharing the link?
Okay, sharing the link was different. You know the ACT blasphemy law that got introduced in 2016, the religious vilification law?
Yep,
you remember that?
Yeah.
Well, the first instance of it being heard in the ACT came up, so I thought, you know, being interested in how our speech laws have been expanding, we've got Bendigo 3, and, you know, we had Bill Leaks, we've had Mark Latham, there's been all these, you know, different things. So I thought I'd go and see how that went, and jurisdiction was being questioned. It was actually not an ACT resident versus ACT, it was actually an ACT guy suing a New South Wales resident. So I was doing background research on that, and I couldn't. Both the guys in that have a really big case history, like going back a decade. So I was looking into that and couldn't find details on some of them. found this video from 2014 with this lady talking about a case, saying why she'd been dragged into court, and she had a link in it to her submission and everything. And I thought, oh, that could be handy, so I hit the share button, as you do. And then 6 weeks later, I got a demand to saying I'd defamed this gentleman and to remove it and blah blah blah, that I was the publisher. And then a week and a half later, I got a demand for $25,000, and I've been at ACAT ever since. We literally just had the first proper hearing, and they ruled against me publication by omission, because when I depublished it, so obviously to be published, someone else has to be able to see it, yeah? So rather than destroy the evidence, I put the item on private, because that way I could say this is exactly what the post looked like, this is what I did and didn't, you know, I didn't click like, I didn't put any text on it of my own, it was literally I just hit share. And so anyway, they've ruled publication by omission because I didn't delete it back when I got the notice.
But
so,
you shared a. But you were sharing a Facebook, a YouTube.
Public, a YouTube link, yeah. So someone else's copyrighted material that they intended to have shared under the and used the YouTube distribution. I didn't copy and paste the links, so I can't even I used the YouTube distribution thing. So so obviously I'm appealing it, and I know how long it'll take, one of those things.
Did the person that made the video, are they the one that shared you, or the person that was in the video?
The person that they had been sued by, that they were talking about in the video, is the one that sued me. So
right, so he's sued a few people regarding this video, has he?
No, he's never even sued the publisher of the video. And that's the other thing. He's watched the video. He was told the video was going to be published. He was told after it was published. And I've shown all of this, but I don't know how,
So eventually...
So it sounds to me like... Sorry.
So I was going to say, so I'm just trying to wrap this through my little noggin here.
Tell me about it. I've been trying to wrap my little noggin around it for 12 months.
Yeah, so you've been sued for sharing someone else's public YouTube channel. You shared it on Facebook, Twitter, whatever it may have been.
Facebook.
And they sued not the publisher of the video that defamed him, but they've sued you for sharing said video.
Yeah, so part of my appeal is that I will fight this all the way to the highest court on the planet if I have to, because as far as I'm concerned, this means that if someone shares an ABC or say, the political cartoon out of the Telegraph or something using the exact same button on those public media sites, why would you bother suing Fairfax if you can sue Joe Blogs?
It's a very dangerous precedent. That's for sure.
Yeah, it is. So I personally don't think that what he was complaining about was defamatory. Obviously that's something that I'm continuing to argue about, but on the same token, it's so complicated, I don't think the item was defamatory in the first place, but then I also don't think that he should be suing me as a third party, especially if he hasn't sued the publisher, and especially if I haven't endorsed the item in any way, shape or form, and I was just using the intended natural, that was the purpose of the publisher. And the other thing is, the lady who made the video is actually someone who's gone for minor politics quite a bit. So he's saying that I've got some social profile, like on the far right, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Which is interesting, but anyway.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm on the far right.
Everybody is on the far right unless you're progressive.
Yes.
Well, a few of us are on the far right. But...
Yeah.
I am on the right. I won't deny that.
But not the far right, obviously.
2 years ago, I'd say I was pretty centrist. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, the last few years has just been Now we've got to change something. So
Yeah, but there's a difference between being on the right and there's been a difference of being on the far right. So just to confirm for everybody, not to take this out of context, you're not far right. You're just right side. You're just conservative.
I don't consider myself far right. No.
Yeah.
No. The media consider me far right.
Yeah, but that's what you say. The media considers the media has literally gone through and claimed that Lauren Southern, that Stefan Molyneux, and that even Milo Yiannopoulos. I'm getting his name wrong. I always pronounce it wrong.
Yiannopoulos.
Yeah. Apparently.
You say it better than you used to.
Yeah. Well, true. Thanks. But I was going to say, they're all claiming that they're on the far right. That Milo is a gay Jew who has a black boyfriend. How exactly?
Yeah.
Like, okay, we have people that are in this Discord at the moment that are more right than anybody. I don't want to know how too much detail you want, but.
Would you like me to talk for a moment?
Yeah, let me know exactly what's your thoughts on Milo. Like, would you consider him a part of the far right persuasion, or?
Milo is a provocateur, and he's an annoying, raging word that you won't want me to say.
No, probably not.
Yeah, he has very, very basic views, and all he thinks essentially is that Islam is a bad thing, and puts very, very middle of the line views forward. I personally think Milo should get a bullet.
Okay. But do you think...
Just because he is an absolute fucking degenerate.
Well, obviously you and I disagree at that point. But I was going to say, but do you think Milo is far right? Do you think he is right? Do you think he's a centrist?
No, not at all. He's in the right wing, but he just likes popularity. Yeah. He has an ego, and he just wants views for a second. I was just thinking, like, if you want to look at the people's views who are in this chat right now, I mean,
it's a wide
rather
mix.
Than get your stream flagged, and attack, just come talk to us after the stream's over for about 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, cool. No.
But I was going to say, yeah, this is the thing. See, there is all mixes in this stream. There is people that are on the far right. There are people that are centrist, like me, and then she has actually left. I didn't realize that she left, but anyway. But yeah, obviously me and Israel were more in the center. We have people that are just right, that are just conservative. At the end of the day, and here's the thing: we're not arguing with each other. We're not branding each other racist or bigots or anything along those lines. And it's just it's amazing how you can get a whole group of people with vastly different public opinions and some private opinions on certain situations, and we don't seem to have a real big problem. It's weird how that just seems to work out, isn't it?
Well, it's one of the dumbest things the left ever did.
Sorry, was that?
It's only weird now. It wasn't a weird thing a few years ago. It's become weird now because of the political climate now.
Yeah, it's like there's a certain group that are, I would say, progressive, that seem to...
A bit hook-nosed?
Yeah, they seem to cause a lot more problems. I tell you, you're going to get me flagged, dude, I swear. If I get flagged, I'm coming down to kill you. I know where you live now. But what I'm saying is, look, at the end of the day, it seems that this identity politics on the left seems to cause a lot more problems than it's worth. I don't know. That seems to be my opinion on the thing.
It's one of the dumbest things the left ever did, particularly the establishment ever did, was trying to brand everybody under the sun as alt-right, as far-right, as racist, neo-Nazi, blah, 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 blah. To the point where I had a policy professor that a few years ago I asked, because the topic came up of discussion with the alt-right, and I asked, I understand a bit, define the alt-right. What is the alt-right? They couldn't give me a clear definition because they branded so many people under it that now it has become so useless of a label. Instead, it groups everybody together everybody who's to the right of fucking... everybody who's to the right of Kevin Rudd, essentially, is grouped together under the same umbrella as you're far right now. And it means that everybody gets put onto the same team, and we can all sit here and talk together civilly because we've all been branded with the same brush.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
I can talk to hardcore neo-Nazi accelerationists And I can sympathise with them more than I can sympathise with progressive nowadays because they've called me a fucking neo-Nazi as well for just being a general conservative. And that is mainly my view as conservative. There's a few other things that go on beyond that, but...
Yeah, obviously, look, at the end of the day, individual topics on politics is always, there's going to be some that are more left, some are more right, yada, yada, yada. But, and this is what I was going to say, the thing is that if you go, for example, in doing what the left does and go around branding everybody a Nazi, a neo-Nazi, alt-right, blah, 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 like, you literally, you devalue that word. If someone calls me alt-right now, I laugh about it and say, okay, I'm not, but okay. Like, you know, like, it has no value anymore.
Even in academia, and to everybody else, I mean, tell me what alt-right is. I can ask everybody here what the question is, define alt-right for me, and you'll all probably give me a different example, different definition. And yes, even in the highest level of academia, they could not define what alt-right is. And it's it's similar to if we turned around and said everyone on the left is a commie, you're a neo-Marxist commie who wants to destroy or whatever.
Exactly. It's that painting everybody with the same brush.
Yeah, but it has also the other negative effect of it causes everybody who you label under the same banner to be an ally with each other, essentially, because you all become an enemy of the other side, and since you're all enemy of the other side, you all think of the enemy of my enemy as my friend.
Well,
and it's all of a sudden the right gains strength. They're defeating themselves.
Yeah, and we know they're not going to do well when it comes to the election, that's for sure. I'm going to post a link here. So while we are talking about politics, and we have seemed to have completely forgotten all about the news, which is what we normally do, there is a link to the Warski live stream, and people at home can play along, obviously. This is where Lauren starts talking about this is an actual white-only ethno-state in South Africa. This stream is nowhere. This stream is never going to be monetized.
That was cool. I'd never heard of that place. It sounds so great. Zero crime. Come on.
Yeah, I was going to say. So let's jump into it and let's deal with this. I don't know if everybody's got it queued up at that particular mark. Everybody's ready?
You'll have to give me a summary of the stream. I'm just outside at the moment.
Yep, that's fine. So everybody else, ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yep. Let's go. Oops, I'm
on the property. Another thing that's going to be in the documentary that I know is going to get me in so much trouble, but I did it anyway. Have you ever heard of a place called Orania?
Okay, I think you told me this. Like you told me this. Trouble. Yeah, you told me this. This is a fantastic story. Please go ahead and say it. This is great.
I can't tell all the stories on here, but Orania is so when apartheid when they ended apartheid, there was a group of people that were just like, nope, we want nothing to do with this. We're gonna make our own white ethno state and see ya. And for some reason, the apartheid ended government said, you know what, fine, we'll let you have one ethno state. To be fair, though, there are tons of areas known as the Black tribal homelands where only Black people can live on them, and they're these huge, vast areas that are like 1 billion times the size of Orania. But Orania is this one area, and it's probably one of the only places in the world where it's a Boer Afrikaner community that's only allowed white people there. And it was the most bizarre place I've ever gone to in my entire life. I walked into the government office, and the government office has a giant poster of Andrew Breitbart in it. Like they're like this super right-wing ethno state, and I do a piece on them because they were just really interesting. So that will be in the documentary. It's the reason Orania is so controversial in the documentary is just because the facts about it are really upsetting. Like to tell people, like I can't even say it without knowing people are going to be offended, but they have a literally zero crime rate. Like it's just, I know that sounds horrible, but they do. They have a zero crime rate. It's close to zero, other than like a domestic here and there. Like I spoke to them and I like asked them multiple times. I went to the government and I was like, "Are you serious? Tell me right now. Like you're telling me you don't have crime here." And they're like, "We just don't." And then I walk outside and everyone's like left the keys in their cars and everything and their motorcycles, and I'm like, this is just inherently offensive.
I'll be honest. Compared to the farmland section and that place, I'd live in the ethno state, like straight up. If I had to pick, yo, call me offensive, call me whatever the fuck you want. Yo, I have to have motion detectors outside my house to not be afraid, and dogs and shit, or head to a place where there's like no crime. Come on, guys.
They've asked to expand it, but they're not allowed to expand it. That's the thing.
Okay.
So they only have a limited.
We're just about to wrap it up now, so I'm going to stop it at.
So
51.
what you're saying is this is the real Mandela effect. You know what I'm saying? Is that what you're saying?
All right. So when it gets to 51 minutes,
Yeah.
we're going to stop. All right. So just to wrap it up So just to wrap it up for.
So I'll give you a summary.
Yeah. So wrap it up for you. There is a place in the Farmlands documentary called Loranga. I think she said it was Loranga. They have zero crime. Now, it's a white ethno state. And this is where Right Wing Watch does a section on me. There is zero crime, or almost zero crime, in this white ethno state.
I'm not surprised.
She says she walks down the street and everybody has their keys in their truck and in their motorcycles.
Keys in the car.
To be fair, I live in a rural area and yeah, I leave the keys. Well, not anymore, but I did. I leave the keys to my truck on the driver's seat in case somebody has to move it all the time.
Well, this is the thing. But here's the thing. This is the same countryside that the black community is having a lot of problems in. Or that the rest of the community is having a lot of problems in, I should say.
So what do they have as far as border patrol, I guess? Aranya.
I don't know. That would be the interesting thing. How do they keep it as the whites only? Is there a great big fence? Have they built a wall?
Probably.
Zone.
Probably it's just controlled by their own people.
Yeah, I would think they just have serious patrols. There's probably only a few roads in and out.
With a great big
I mean,
wall.
it probably also comes down to who can buy property, who can move in there.
Well,
and then when you have ethnically homogeneous area like that.
Well, this is the thing. They're saying it's a very. They've asked to expand the area that she says in the video, but they've been rejected. This is actually a white ethno state that the South African government have actually granted them. It was a whole bunch of white people that said, we're sick of this shit, we're going to go and build our own white ethno state. The government for some reason said, yep, go for it, knock yourselves out. I'm thinking about getting on a plane and going to this place and covering a video on this place. Like,
when is this documentary? You said it was supposed to come out already. Where can we find it? Do you know?
She said it was supposed to be coming out in the next day or two. But yeah, she was saying that. But even when she was on the stream with Andy Worski, she was getting a message from her producers and that who were editing the video, saying that the video was having audio problems. So at the end of the day, it's probably been said delayed again. But I do find it funny that there is literally a white ethno state that has almost zero crime.
Well, let's contrast that to Japan for a second. Do you know the Japanese police have gotten to the point where there is such a low crime rate over there that they have... crime has essentially dried up in the area to the point where they at one point had some 7 police show up to investigate a case where a girl had her panties stolen.
Actually, we had a long talk with Relatively Found about the Yakuza and Japanese legal system and the law over there. It's really, really interesting. I mean, basically, they've been in business for 600 years, so they're not so much a crime organization as far as, they actually just permeate every aspect of society.
Another branch of government.
So the crime is basically sanctioned by almost all level of government in one way or another.
It's interesting because the next article I was actually going to talk about when we were supposed to be covering the news was truckers warn of migrant nomadi invasion after legals abandon Calais. I presume you guys have heard this section or heard about these groups of gangs that attack truck drivers that are entering these major towns over in certain parts of Europe.
Yeah,
Aren't they
completely
solving
blind
that
to
by
all of
giving
it.
them? Aren't they solving that by giving them jobs as truck drivers?
I have not heard that. Is that something that they're doing at the moment?
Some country is giving migrants, because that's what they call them,
Mm-hmm.
jobs as truck drivers. Yeah.
Well,
I thought, well, that's shortcutting the system, isn't it?
Well, my understanding of this is that the reason why they're attacking the truck drivers is because they want to use the trucks to smuggle in people into the city. That was the reason for attacking the truck drivers, is it not? Does anyone know?
I have no idea what the story is, man.
No,
so if you could explain it probably to me as well as the viewers.
Yeah, I've seen a few video clips and that, but I don't really know.
Yeah. So the basic thing is
give an overview.
Yeah, so the basic overview is that truck drivers entering major cities and that are coming in from, obviously if you've got major town to major town, you're going to have roads in between that are less populated. These less populated roads have been heavily affected by migrants who are dropping trees and stuff like that in the middle of the road to slow truck drivers down. When the truck drivers slow down, the migrants then attack the truck drivers, even kill the truck drivers, because they want to steal the stuff that's in the back of the trucks, or they want to use the trucks to smuggle in mass amounts of people into the next town. Now, my theory is that by giving these people the trucks to drive as a truck driver, it's not really going to work very well, because if they're using the trucks, if they're trying to hijack the trucks to steal the goods, they're just going to steal the trucks that you've given them the keys for. Or if they're using the trucks to smuggle people in, then they're going to do that. They're going to pull over, let everybody jump in the truck, drive them into town, and then let them out. This is basically giving them what they want in a way.
In the end, it's legalizing crime.
Yeah.
I found it. It's Germany will now train asylum seekers to become truck drivers.
If you've
due
got a
to
link
acute
to that.
shortage.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just posted in the
I
search
was
section.
trying to find. There was a heap of them the other day. I was trying to find the one I was looking at.
Yep, a heap of them, and it's all gone. I wonder why.
Hmm.
I wonder who's in control of the media who doesn't want that out.
Hey, come on, come on.
Jesus. Hey, I didn't say anything too bad. I might not have been the ones you're thinking of.
Where can I
Hey,
post
mate.
it?
Show checks channel. Moving along.
Hand rubbing intensifies.
Sorry. My apologies.
God, mate, you know if I'm here, I'm going to shut your stream a little bit. But I've been
Yeah.
very polite today compared to last time.
I'll put this on screen for everybody else. Yes, thank God for that you weren't as bad as last time. So
So only a few drinks in this time.
Okay. That's the ID.
I might just say that I can't see why they couldn't have a program to train Germans to become truck drivers.
I'm surprised I actually missed this Voice of Europe article, because normally I monitor their site pretty heavy. So Germany will now train.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So
I wasn't sure if that was a legit one or not. So.
Yeah, no, I do. No, this is very much along the lines of around Martin Selma's group.
Okay.
Identity of Europa.
right.
Not the same group, but they follow the same lines. Germany will now train asylum seekers to become truck drivers for people playing at home. Due to a acute shortage of professional truck drivers, the German Trucking Association has launched a new project to train asylum seekers for the job. So this seems like they're going through and they're using the migrants to solve a shortage of truck driving situation. Right. How long before you think a truck might not arrive at its destination is what I'm going to say.
Already. I'm sure there already are a few.
I have another concern too.
Sure.
I wonder how many of these trucks turn into trucks of peace.
Oh.
Oh, they're all peaceful.
They're all very peaceful. What are you talking about? They are a perfect example of peaceful expressions of culture.
Are you saying that "We Break for Nobody" should not be a bumper sticker that you stick on the back of a truck?
Oh God! And you say I'm bad. For fuck's sake.
Hey, I'm making a Spaceball reference, all right? I don't know what you guys are talking about. But yeah, but hi YouTube. Hi EU. We'll get to that in a sec, actually.
Hey, are you still trying to get monetization? Because I mean, that might not happen.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to ever get monetized. So, yeah, at the end of the day, guys,
start shilling your Patreon.
Yeah, I do have a Patreon and I do have a Streamlabs because there's no way YouTube will ever monetize my channel. While we are talking about being banned,
What are you going to hang out with me?
While we are talking about being banned, I will touch on the subject. I am making a video very shortly. Yes, I know, Cooked, I am doing it. But apparently someone has reported my channel to the EU Media Commission.
Oh no.
So, I'm sorry to Lauren Southern, who is my future waifu. If you ever want to go to Paris or anywhere in the EU, or Jess Southern, definitely Jess. If you ever want to go to anywhere in the EU, you might need to find a replacement, because I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to go with you anymore. But no, yes, it is something that I will be making a separate video on, but apparently someone has sent the media section of the EU a link to my channel and reported me, along with others. Don't know what the outcome of that's going to be. They might laugh at him, they might take him serious, they might scroll through my videos and then take him very serious. We don't know. I'm glad you're laughing at this, Cooked, but anyway. But yeah.
Oh man, I love a good shit show.
I know you do. You shit story, you are. But yeah, the worst thing was, obviously, he has admitted it on live stream. I know who the person is. He's actually a member of this Discord. And I actually recorded him saying it. So I'm going to put all that into a video, and then we're going to have a little fun with him too while we're at it. So that'll be up maybe the next day or two. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, but at the end of the day, as for this truck driving, look, I wonder why the German nationals might not be too interested in driving trucks between major cities. Is anyone thinking there might be a reason why the German nationals might be saying, you know, hey, being a truck driver just ain't worth the money sometimes?
Really makes
I mean,
you think.
yeah, it really gets the noggin jogging.
It does, doesn't it?
Really activates those elements.
But I don't, yeah, look, at the end of the day, I suppose this is one way to take over an industry, is just cause so many problems that everybody else leaves and then start employing your own people. I don't know, but I don't think this is going to be a very, very popular idea, or I can't imagine how the German industry is, or the German nationals are taking this as a good thing. But anyone else have anything to comment on, or do you want to move on to the next story?
I mean, okay, like, it's obviously a fucking horrible idea, and I think we're all in agreement of that. It's going to end up just being a complete shit show of...
biblical proportions?
Well, I mean, not biblical proportions, but it's going to just... You're literally legalizing crime. That's what you're doing there, and I'm pretty sure we're all in agreement on that. It's quite literally just a way to make it so that they can get their way. Hang on, they can have their cake and eat it too. Yeah, it will lower your crime stats, but it will make you look progressive.
Well, yeah, I definitely would be doing an itinerary before and after the truck left the stations. You know, maybe comparing the carton rate before the truck left and on arrival of the destination, maybe, I would say.
There's a lot of way to get around that stuff. You know, you just make sure to pick them up and drop them off before and after the way stations.
But
it's
you know what I mean. And I was going to say, and while we are on the subject of refugees, the UK, another depressing story that probably one that makes people walk in traffic. Fake child refugee gets weak sentence for rape of 14-year-old schoolgirl.
Oh my god.
See, at this point, I'm not even surprised. At this point, I'm not even fucking surprised.
All you are is disgusted. And,
So
yeah, pretty much. I mean,
should be more outraged, really, but you're just disgusted at this point.
So an Egyptian adult who broke into An Egyptian adult who broke into Britain and claimed to be a Syrian child has been jailed for just 3.5 years for severe and prolonged rape of a vulnerable schoolgirl. At the...
Well, mate, did you ever... So go on.
I was going to say...
No, go on. Finish off.
Yeah. At the Brighton Crown Court, Kamar Majari, I might be mispronouncing that name, but, you know, who cares? He's a rapist. Now claims to be 19... Yeah. Who claims to be 19 was told he would be deported after serving half a 7-year sentence in the young offenders unit. Although the Home Office has poor track record on following through with the deportation orders, do you really think they're going to deport this guy, or do you think in 4 years I'm going to be doing a story about how this guy has yet again raped another UK girl?
Well, you know, if you keep on like this, in 4 years you'll probably be jailed for inappropriate comments on YouTube by the Australian government, mate. But
thanks. You going to come and visit me?
No. Well, they'll just
I'll come in and laugh a bit.
They'll slap him with a public safety order, which bans you from the internet.
Oh yeah, that's probably more likely. Did you ever hear? I have no idea whether or not he's going to get deported or not. I mean, he might not. But did you ever hear about that? The dentist for the UN who ended up getting essentially sacked because he ended up saying a lot of these child migrants had dental records that absolutely proved, beyond a shadow of doubt, that they had to be over the age of 18. It doesn't surprise me at all that this is a child migrant supposedly that came in was later on proven wrong. It's this entire situation is so fucking dirty, so disgusting at this point that where's the surprise? Like it's supposed to have outrage at the moment, as you say. It's supposed to be outrage, disappointment, disgust. But at this point, it's just me going, "Yep, another day in this fucking world."
Well, the interesting thing was they are claiming that this man is yet again another Asian. Are you surprised by that?
As a person who's 25% Japanese, I'm not surprised, just a little annoyed.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that's the thing.
I'm 25% annoyed.
I wasn't going to say that on stream because obviously, you know, doxing and stuff like that. But you are part Asian, so to speak, and you know, how do you feel that a percentage of your DNA, so to speak, is being dragged through the muck?
It's kind of fucking disgusting, mate. It's like saying that MS-13 gang members are Americans.
Yeah, true.
And not making a distinction, or saying that, you know, first generation naturalized citizens of a country are just, you know, gripping with the entire ethnic and nationalist identity. If I talk about how this Sudanese crime wave in Melbourne is just a bunch of Australians committing crimes because they're second generation Nigerian immigrants that are Australian citizens, doesn't that make you a bit fucking mad?
Yeah, well, yeah.
But that's where we're heading.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. At the end of the day, if someone was to turn around and say that, yeah, for example, all these Indonesians that are, say Indonesia's going around committing heinous acts, and they were to say that these are Australian men, I would personally be losing my shit, to be honest. I would be like, no, they're not.
Yes, mate, we do have an Indonesian right here in the chat in the VC right
now. Hey, first of all, I just want to say this. Did you know our crime rate has fallen below France?
Yeah, well, that's not hard considering the mass of people that are going into France right now. But I was going to say, I'm just using Indonesia.
The masses of French people commit crimes in France, right?
Hang on. Just to clarify, I'm not saying, and right wing watch, please add this to the comment you just, took out of context. I'm not saying Indonesia is a rape capital or anything like that. I'm just saying that if there was 2 islands, for example, and they tried to claim them together, then yeah, I would be annoyed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just a context, yeah.
2 ethnic groups. It's 2 completely different ethnic groups, 2 different racial groups, 2 entirely different cultures that get grouped together. And in this case, when it comes to the Asian men committing crimes over in the UK, you are using the loosest possible definitions of saying the entirety of the continent of Asia are just Asians. They're all grouped together.
Yeah. It's a very broad term.
I mean, for Christ's sake, if you just say East Asians when you talk about Chinese or Japanese or South Korean crime, they all will hate whoever groups them together. But hey, you've allied them all against you guys by saying that the Middle Easterns are also Asian. And that's the silver lining here. That's the silver lining. Because it's very easy to disprove this by just a quick Google search or just anyone with a little common sense having a look at the person's name for sake.
Well, that's what I normally do.
And as a result, it galvanizes people against them.
Yeah, well, that's what I normally do.
Time.
Whenever I hear about these Asian gangs, the first thing I do is Google the guy's name and find out, well, you know, hey, you might claim he's Asian, but is he really that Asian or is he something else?
Well, you know, Mr. Mohammed Abdul, and then you're saying he's Asian?
Yeah, doesn't really make sense, does it?
It's for a clear reason that they're doing it. And for the lowest common denominator, it works. It works for, you know, your granny sitting in the nursing home who's half awake. But the rest of the people, they view this and like, okay. They look into the story further. They see a mugshot or they see the guy's name, like, okay, that's weird. And all of a sudden, it adds another person to the cause. So, Tech, you were saying before that you used to be more centrist. You used to be not a lefty, but you used to be a bit more
me.
You know, centering your ideas and your views. Now, you said that shit's been getting worse and worse, which I completely agree with, and it's what has galvanized my political views largely as well. I've always essentially held these political views, but ever since I was the age where I could actually think properly. But what was it that sparked your transition from just regular conservative, more center conservative, to more activist right wing? Was it just the situation getting worse, or was it things like this getting stuck in your face day after day after day?
She's actually got herself on mute, so I'm not sure if she's actually still here. Or she's...
No, I'm
here.
Yep, sorry. I was listening and making a coffee. It was literally like I've got an investment in the future. I've got a daughter. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. There was a point where all the terrorism crap was happening overseas. Like every other day, there was something in France or Belgium or the UK or whatever. We had our couple of little things here that the media tried to minimise and say mental illness. And as I said, a few things coming out of the school, and it's just like, well, if I sit back, I can't really. I don't know. I have to tell my kid that I let the world fall to pieces and burn around her ears. At least this way, if it burns around her ears, I've tried. Do you know what I mean? Like.
Well, yeah.
So.
Yeah, you have a vested interest in the future of our country, and so you have to take a stand somewhere.
Yeah,
I
can't let her be guilty of being white. We are blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and as pale-skinned as you get. Do you know what I mean? You can't get any whiter.
Yeah.
It's like she can't. And that's like a genetic thing. Our whole family is just built like that. Doesn't matter what comes in, we're still all blonde-haired and blue-eyed. So,
Yeah, I'm the same. I have a daughter too, and I have the same motivation.
Yeah. So I just.
Your motivation is because you have to take a stand for the future of your society, the future of your race, the future for your children.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say my motivation's the same. I don't have the kid yet, obviously, but at the end of the day, in the future, I would like to have kids. I would like to have 6, 12, whatever, whatever it takes to boast those numbers. But at the end of the day, I was going to say, the fact is that you can't sit here and say, hey, society is going in the right direction, that you know, you look at just how bad things are getting. Like Sargon of Akkad, who literally has uploaded a video earlier today, which I was watching when you guys, just before I jumped on, and he was trying to give a lecture at a university, and the leftists pulled the fire alarm.
Again.
Yeah, like this is the... Now, at the end of the day, I would love them to go through and to start handing out huge fines for every leftist that pulls that fire alarm. I would love them to start enforcing, because it is actually against the law, and there is actually fines involved in that. So at the end of the day, start enforcing that, and we'll see how many of these commies don't mind distributing a little bit of their wealth when it comes to paying a fine. I imagine you'll see that this pulling the fire alarm trick would soon stop. But you know, the first 5 or 10 minutes of this video was interrupted because of them not letting Sargon of Akkad talk. He's a leftist. He's liberal. Like, if you have a problem with him, you know, what do you say about me or Trek or?
He's not a leftist. He's a cock.
Well, whatever you say, but you know, like I say, at the end of the day,
my words, not yours.
Yeah, he is a liberal. He is on the left side of politics. He's all for closed borders and that. But you know, you ask him, you talk to him about abortion, for marijuana stands, you know, about, you know, gay rights and stuff like that. He is a leftist. He's... Hell, you have a problem with him, what are you going to say about me? What are you going to say about Trek? What are you going to say about Cook or Satellite or anybody else that's currently in this group at the moment? Like, if that's your stance for what's a Nazi, then shit, we're all doomed. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. I just hate to think that we're going to raise children in a future that's possibly going to end up being something like this.
Yeah. Well, just look how much you can't even say. Like, at work a couple of years ago, I had a customer ask a question about halal. I went and put it to management and was told, shh. And I'm like, it's a legitimate question. People have a right, you know. Everyone has a right to their beliefs and a right to ask these questions. And I got shh down so hard. It was, you couldn't even get round to them. Don't you understand how hypocritical you're being and how you're completely controlling people? Like, they're limiting language so much already. It's just, and how much we can discuss, and you know, like, I'm so careful with everything I do. I'm surprised I haven't gotten in more trouble than I have. But you know, like, I didn't make a whole video the other day. I only did half of it because I was worried someone would go and tell Janet Rice that I was, you know, talking about the bathroom issue. So when she's just had a big argument with Senator Patterson in Parliament over it. So, you know.
And this is the thing. We need to
be scared. I don't hate people. I don't want to see them all, you know, done over or anything. I was nearly going to say something that would probably get me in trouble then. Been talking to too many of the right-wing boys. That was nearly a slip of the tongue.
But yeah, I was going to say, but you're right. We shouldn't be scared to talk about topics that, and this is the power that the left does actually have. They can seemingly go through and silence anybody on something just because they want to. The fear that you're going to lose your job, the fear that you're going to lose your children, the fear that you're going to go to jail. It's
We've talked about this before in regards mainly to the Sargon and his way he approached Tommy Robinson thing. You can't let yourself fall to this self-censorship, which is what they're trying to do and what they are actually doing and what they're achieving in.
Actually, well, on Sargon, he actually said on the Tommy Robinson thing, because he was getting heaps of flack for not standing up for him. And I'm not making this as an excuse for him, because I actually think he's got a pretty big voice. He should be standing a little stronger. But he's like, I've got a kid I've got to protect. I can't take the risk that someone's going to turn around and retaliate. So that was... Yeah,
I think the retaliation thing was a little bit weak.
I don't listen to him very much, but I caught that the other day. So it's like, yeah, he talks about these things, but yeah, then when push comes to shove, you know, his kid's going to have to deal with the consequences of him backing down on that. So...
Well, yeah, but so here's the thing, like, you have to stand by your convictions. You can't just be a person who acts as a mouthpiece, and then when push comes to shove, you're going to turn around and say, "Oh, no, but I can't talk about this. Even if I agree with it, I can't talk about it because of X, Y, or Z."
Yeah.
That's not an excuse to me. That's not an excuse that holds up.
No.
You must stand by your convictions if you want to put yourself out there.
I keep doing it even though they've now doxed me, and I've had some pretty horrid friggin' I don't know if you saw the skywriting campaign. You can imagine some of the response we got from the yes.
Oh yeah, I mean, when
the pilot got.
When I first paid attention, that was because when I heard that they ended up stopping your Patreon, also your GoFundMe, for no other reasons other than they wanted to get your identity, which was literally just a way of, okay, we want to dox you so that we can basically
harass you,
force you to stop doing it by putting you as a target.
A guy from Sydney called Jay Jones actually made his own GoFundMe for $2,000 to come and to find out who Cat Clayton was and to track me down in my home to confront me and stuff. So that was that was going on at the same time. So. And
what did you report this to the police?
Sort of told them, but didn't think they'd help in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Really, with everything, you would have seen all the different protests at like the Coalition for Marriage events and all the different businesses that were being completely and utterly hammered. Like no one got charged over any of that. Do you know what I mean? So, as if they were going to help me. We'd made too much of a fuss.
I was going to ask, how are you going for funds?
Not to make. Pretty bad actually, but that's okay. I'm doing all right. See, like 1, I'm an optimist. 2, I'm not terribly materialistic. 3, these bastards aren't going to beat me. 4, it was just bad timing. I happened to have taken time off to homeschool. When all of this came up, that stuff sort of happens. Life goes on, and they're going to take all our super and everything off us soon anyway. So
Yeah, well.
In the end, we're all fucked.
Does that
anyway.
make sense? So I think I've got things under control. I've got a few people helping me out. It did kind of, at first it was kind of like, I can't believe we're in this situation. Like before I had my daughter, I was doing everything. I went droving for 2 years and, did all this other stuff. So I'd sort of only just built this whole thing, and we didn't need or want for anything, and all of a sudden it's a bit of a struggle, but
Is there a GoFundMe or something that people can donate to that I can put as a link? Or
no, I've had a few people tell me to make a GoFundMe or whatever, but I don't want to involve anyone in this. I think this guy's he's taken a lot of people before. I really don't. That's why I haven't really mentioned name or anything like that of the thing, because I'd rather he didn't end up taking the next person on the list. You know what I mean? So.
I want to ask a quick question about this guy.
But I do want people to know that if you that they're trying to do this hot, literally, if I'd put a single word on it, if I'd hit like on my face, if I'd said, hey, this is interesting, or this is good, I could understand it, but I literally just shared the link, like I do on your videos, and I do on my own, and I do on every other Aussie that's out there, including bloody Green Left Weekly occasionally.
This might sound a little strange, but don't worry about your super. And the reason I say that is because, well, I'm not worried about mine either. The thing is that before any of us at our current lifespans that we have can ever reach the age of accessing our super, either the financial system will have collapsed.
The entire system collapses.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. So we have everything we need. When we
it goes further. It goes further.
But,
yeah, but also just recently our Prime Minister went to America and basically just gave away all of our super money to something over there. Yeah. So I mean, it's gonna collapse with the American system, which is not long now.
Yeah, and also don't forget about Plan B, which is me going and buying a private island.
Yeah, tell me when you have the money for that, and I'll join you on the island.
I want them to build a wall around Queensland so that people can move there while the world falls apart. I think it's got most of the resources you need to get by.
True, it does have
Oh,
mining.
see, this is when you should have Super Neat here. This is when we need Super Neat Boy here.
No. We're not getting into this because he wants WA to succeed.
Just let him on. He loves you. In his own twisted way.
Funny thing is, me and him argue like cats and dogs. But that said, well, I don't know what he has for me, but I still have mutual respect for him. Like, for a guy that I can literally spend hours banging my head into the wall saying, oh my god, you're a retard. Oh my god, I can't stand you. Oh my god, I want to kill you right now.
Alright.
The next day...
Can I give you a bit of advice? Retard. Never call someone a retard, because it makes you seem like a fucking idiot.
I said retard. Yeah, oh, okay.
You said it again.
Yeah, anyway.
You said retard.
Okay, so I say funny things. Anyway, I say funny things. All right. Anyway, moving along.
It's like condemn and condone.
Hey, stop it. I know you guys are going to have fun with that for hours, but anyway.
Blame it on the dyslexia.
Yeah, well, that is actually, yeah, I do actually have dyslexia, but anyway. But what I was going to say, look, I know my pronunciation on words is terrible. Like, ask Trek about some of my videos, and they're the ones that have been heavily edited. But what I was going to say was, at the end of the day, yeah, I don't think... Yeah, I don't see a way to... I don't see a way that doesn't involve leaving. I don't want to be blackpilled. I don't want to sit here and say, oh my god, the world is doomed. But I don't see a way of turning back the mass migrants that has caused, or even the leftists. Like, even if you just forget the migrants. Like, I've got a video, I've posted a link in chat, I've got a video queued up. I want you guys to watch this. Are you inside again, Cooked?
Yeah, I'm inside.
Yeah. Alright, so the link I've posted is, it's actually a Sargon video. I know you guys don't like him. Try not to punch the monitor. But let me play this for a couple of minutes and then we'll talk about
What's
it.
the timestamp?
It's actually 1 minute 21 seconds. Sorry, 10 minutes and 21 seconds. If you go to the link, it should take you straight to the timestamp. So everybody's got that ready?
Yep.
Alright, okay, let's play this.
Bias is a state of mind. Now, bias response teams, you can be reported, and those reports go to our friends at the campus police department here, who've truly been wonderful in my past events, and I'm very grateful for that. Bias response teams, you can report incidents anonymously to the bias response team, and then those are subject to investigation where you can be removed from the university, you can be thrown out. But let's take a look at what their definition of bias is. Bias is a state of mind. Wow, that's not even language, that's thought police.
Oh, yeah.
It's a state of mind.
Well, before we go on, the thought policing aspect, that's what the language control is about.
Yeah.
It's about eventually controlling exactly as the party wanted to do in 1984. I hate to keep coming back to this example because it feels hackneyed to do it, but they are literally saying you can't use certain words. And the reason they do that is so you can't properly express certain concepts. So they are literally coming for your thoughts. That's what they want. There's no end to where they're going to try and get.
And that gets reported to the police department here. Those reports are then logged. It's a tendency or inclination that impacts our behaviors and perceptions of others, either positively or negatively. So let's take a look. Now remember the theme from a progressive style guide. Look at the theme here. So covered under this, let's see. Protected class, including but not limited to race, okay, color, religious ideology, national origin, it's immutable, veteran status, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, sexual expression, physical or mental ability, or, and get this, political affiliation.
That's pretty incredible, isn't it?
Political affiliation.
So basically what we're saying is, who's going to volunteer to be the Nazi? Because they are obligated by their own rules to protect you because of your political affiliation. And if people say that I don't like Nazis, you can get those people in trouble. This is Portland State University has actually protected Nazis. So good job, Portland. Can we give them a round of applause for that?
You guys want to pause it at 12:50 when you get to that point?
Oh well, there you go.
Oh shit! It sounds like I'm gonna go full 1488.
So now this is over in the States.
Yeah.
I'm presuming everybody's finished. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, in government institutions, we're supposed to have anti-bias laws.
Yeah. Now, obviously, he is making a very good case there, where you can go full 1488. No, 1488. I'm butchering that. 1488. It is, isn't it? Yeah. And you can go full Nazi, and by law, they have to protect you because other people have bias against your political affiliation. I really... Sorry?
They're not going to protect them.
Oh, no. We know it's going to be extremely selective when they enforce or don't enforce, but...
There's going to be a bias. There will be a bias in the anti-bias in administration.
Are you saying that the anti-bias is going to be biased?
It'd still be interesting to see this thing run through the courts.
Yeah, and this is a legally binding thing. This is their new laws. If they don't enforce this, discrimination. You could have...
Wait, this is in America, though?
Yes, very much. Yes.
What happened to this? Right? What happened to the University, Second Amendment?
So yeah, this is a university's laws. So I think this is... Well, yeah, this is where they do talk about the Constitution, and they do say that it is unconstitutional, and Sargon's response later in the video is he's not a constitutional lawyer, so he doesn't know about that. But presuming this does hold up and that free speech doesn't interfere with this, I would like to see someone stand up as a neo-Nazi and claim that people that do not like his political affiliation have a bias.
All right, so Giggle, let's start a GoFundMe for sending McCoy over to Portland University to do a speech.
I don't know how this will go, but it definitely would be interesting, that's for sure. But
wait, Sparrow, wouldn't it be better if you use a non-white, maybe even a Muslim?
Yeah. And also, let's just have it on record that, you know, this was organised here on Nonpartisan Media.
Oh, God, no.
Nonpartisan.
I disavow.
Stamp of approval.
But anyway, but the reason why I want to highlight...
Nonpartisan, you are our leader.
Yeah, no, I'm not. No, I'm very much not. But I'm just squatting in this Discord server. But anyway, but the reason why I want to mention this video is because of the fact...
He never pays the rent.
Sorry? What'd you say?
And he never pays any rent.
Yeah, well, yeah. No, but I am giving a link to your Discord in the actual comment section, so you know everybody can join. But what I was going to say was, at the end of the day, yes, right wing lunch. I have a link to a server that does have alt-right members in it. Oh boy, that's going to be a fun article they're going to write about me and that. But the reason why I want to highlight this article, this video, is because of the fact that how scary... Like, we know this is not going to be evenly dispersed, okay? This is not going to be a case of, yes, we're going to protect the left and we're going to protect the right. They're going to ignore the ones on the right and heavily protect the ones on the left. But just the fact that how scary that this is literally them protecting against biases, against everything. There is nothing that they have not covered in this anti-biased memoir that they've written, or laws, or whatever.
Well, listen, to come from another perspective, it is just trying to re-enshrine the First Amendment. The problem is how it's actually going to be in place. You can say, okay, yeah, we're going to protect them. How are they going to protect them, though? If they're just going to protect them by saying you can come and speak and people can't come in and blow air horn in your face, then fair enough. I mean, really, it all should be covered by the First Amendment. It should all be covered by American law that's already in place already. The fact that the university is instilling it, I mean, we all know how it's going to be
used,
how it's going to be played out.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. But on its face, it's not a horrible thing. It's just that it's on the subtext is when it gets bad.
Well, it is a horrible thing because at the end of the day, they're actually talking about kicking people out of universities if they break these rules. That if you actually go through, yeah, at the very start, I think it was around.
Okay, that's a lot less then.
Yeah, at around 10 minutes and 21 seconds when it first starts, they say that these rules, you are actually going to be reported to the campus police department for investigation if you break these rules. So.
Okay, so.
Yeah.
I really want to contact someone important in university right now and get them to walk around with a Nazi flag over their back.
That by rights they have to protect you. And for everybody that's wondering, this has been organised by Saigon Avocad.
Okay, see what will happen though in reality is if you do that, then you'll get told that you are not being respectful to other people's points of view,
exactly.
and that you will get expelled from campus.
Exactly.
It will protect the people that they want to protect, and it won't protect the people who, well, need protecting in that sense. Because if you do that, you will get attacked. You will get egged. You will get probably gang beaten.
Oh, yeah.
And stomped.
Oh, yeah.
However, if you're a tranny or going around and shouting at people's faces with megaphones that, you know, you're a murderer, you're a bigot, you're going to be fine.
You just have to look at the way the left behaves, because as Anatak was talking about earlier, is the fact that the guy who owned the plane was being attacked very, very badly, and they didn't do anything about that.
No, and you just have to look at like this video that we're showing. This is the one, if you go to the very start of the video, they actually went through, and this is the one where they pulled the fire alarm and held up this conference or this talk thing for 10, 15, 20, half an hour, whatever it was. Like, okay, so by Portland's response, if this was in Portland and these rules are in place, what about the bias training?
They should be expelled.
Yeah, the bias training against Sargon. Yeah. They have not respected his political opinion, and that's what he's there to talk about, politics. I think that would hold up. Well, you'd have to get them to actually do something about it and act on it, but technically, if the rules are going to be displaced evenly, then he should be as protected as... And this is the thing. You get two people, someone walking around with a Nazi flag and someone walking around with a communist flag. They can both sit there and claim that they were both offended. Well, we know who gets the preference treatment. We know that. But in a fair system, who do you protect, or do you expel them both? You know.
Well, in a fair system, you tell them both to man the fuck up and drink a cup of concrete.
True. Well, yeah, that would be the idea. The fact is that
would be the Australian way.
Yeah, freedom of speech. You know, at the end of the day, yeah, man up, or person up, whatever you want to say. And at the end of the day... Yeah.
Oh, you fucking cock. You fucking cock.
I knew that would stir you. I knew that would stir you.
God damn it. Yeah, no. Yeah, of course it fucking stirs me.
People respect you less and less.
But, well, the reason why I said it, actually, it's a reference, because they actually say it in the video. For anybody that's actually watched the full video, they'll get the joke. But at the end of the day, yeah, look, at the end of the day, man up, you're right. Man up, and I'm sorry, but I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. Get over it. That would be what I would say to him. But this is the thing. We know that at the end of the day, that America they're trying to attack America's freedom of speech. And we know that they want to get rid of the freedom of speech, and they want to get rid of the gun rights. As soon as you get rid of the gun rights, you then can go after freedom of speech. And if they get rid of freedom of speech forcefully, no one's going to have any weapons to go through and to riot. No one's going to have any weapons to protect themselves. In Australia, if they made law, which they've already done, to minimise freedom of speech, how are we going to riot? How are we going to overthrow a tyrannical government? We can't. So...
Well, I don't know about you, mate, but I'm going to grab my cricket bat.
Well, yeah, obviously, look, at the end of the day, we can grab bats and stuff like that, but when it comes up to...
I'm making a joke, man.
Yeah,
I'm making a joke.
You know what I mean?
The reality is that we can't really do much.
No. And this is where the Americans...
It's why you don't give your guns up. And it's why I've talked to AFP people who will also say, yeah, no, it's a bad idea for you guys to ever give your guns up, for you to ever do anything like that. You need to have a way to defend your liberty as an individual. If you cannot defend your liberty as an individual, then you're at the mercy of the people who are holding up legitimate violence. The government is supposed to be representative of the people, and then soon as they are the only ones with the holding up legitimate violence, and the people cannot convince that, then it is a huge problem. I'm not talking about the military particularly here, but mainly the police forces. You need to have a way to maintain the people need to be able to have threaten the monopoly of legitimate violence, even if they can't actually hold it.
To quote a V for Vendetta motto, you know, the government, the people should not be afraid of the government. The government should be afraid of their people. Yeah. I just want to touch on
Nonpartisan. Took your damn.
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah, I know. We're hitting the 3 hour mark.
Yeah, no worries.
Very quickly, guys. Last thing we want to touch on, because we are hitting the 3 hour mark, is South Australia woke by a mysterious tremor by geoscientists. Australia says it Australia says it wasn't an earthquake. So apparently Australia has gone through and had a mysterious tremor, and if you actually go to the earthquake tracker for Australia, it actually says that there has been no earthquakes over the past 30 days, which is interesting.
I think I know where you're going with this.
But
it's the mystery booms.
But
Jews?
No. But I was going to say, but at the end of the day,
mystery booms.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, people in South Australia definitely heard an earthquake, and we've even got footage of said earthquakes. So.
Oh, awesome! Can you post that?
Yeah. So it's actually in the article.
Post the footage. That'd be interesting.
This is the actual article.
Can I say what I think it probably is you know how there's a bigger volcano that erupted a bunch of times recently?
Yep.
Yeah, it's probably just like associated with that.
I think what the mystery booms and the mystery earthquakes caused the volcano to erupt. I think it's the other way around.
Oh, so you think it's a case of earthquakes caused by the booms?
Yes.
I think there's something very, very unusual happening to the planet. Yeah.
But Satellite, I think you're sometimes a bit of a crazy person.
Well,
I know.
Yes, well, we're not going to get into that.
Point this time, though.
Yeah, well, actually, here's the thing. So people have been saying, and this is a common theory. I know we're going to
cringe.
Well, we're going to start hitting conspiracy theory. So everybody, get your tinfoil or alfoil hat. People are saying that the Earth's poles are about to flip again. And
it's due for the time, but magnetic poles flipping doesn't cause this kind of shit.
No,
electromagnetic resonance can cause the sounds, but
remember, the core of the planet is literally made of molten steel, or molten iron.
Molten
iron. And there's a lot of iron down there,
and
it reacts to the magnetic field.
So if the Earth flips, what will happen to the Earth's core? And is that what we're seeing the possible side effects of the Earth? Possibly having we might have I think it's called an extinction level event, or an ELE.
No, it won't.
Milko wants to jump in.
To argue this right now. I wish Director and fucking Super Neat were here right now.
No, you wish that. You wish that, so there'd be an epic, crazy debate. An epic, crazy debate on Nonpartisan's chat.
We could probably set that up. We could probably set that up. Actually, that would be an interesting debate.
All right. Listen, I'm gonna pause my game of Factorio, and I'm gonna walk outside for a second so I don't wake anybody up.
This would be interesting.
Oh dear God, what's he about to do?
I don't know. I'm just going to say, Right Wing Watch, I disavow any actions that's about to happen because I don't know what's going to happen.
I am not going to talk about any Jews or black people.
Anyway, yeah.
The stop button.
Okay, listen. The electromagnetic fields can flip, but however, you can't say it's a fucking extinction level event because that is fucking retarded. Because they supposedly flip every 25,000 to 40,000 years or so. We haven't got the exact range narrowed down, but most likely we think it's 25,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
We can see this because the geostratal layers of the Earth have magnetic particles of well, essentially heavy metals that flip, that change direction of the way that they form every roughly 25,000, 30,000 years. If it was an extinction level event, then we would still see extinction level fucking biomass death every 25,000 to 30,000 years. We have nothing to worry about. We'll be fine. We might see some few fucking shakes. We may see some disturbances like the booms you've been talking about, which I still personally think are related to the hum and related to other things that have been going on for like hundreds of fucking years. But at the very least, you can't say it's an extinction level event. You can't blame it on aliens. You can't blame it on any of this other bullshit, because it would not match up with human history, with the Earth's history. We would be able to see the evidence of it previously. We would be able to see the evidence of these shifts in, well, the biomass on the planet. And this has not occurred. Because what would happen if you look at the I can't remember the fucking name of the layers of basically Earth.
Anyway,
that go down, is you would then see a shift in the magnetic currents, and then you would see a bunch of biomass that would have died and formed on the next layer.
True.
That has not happened. There is not going to be an extinction level event. We are not facing the end of the planet. We are not facing the end of the Earth. This is humans being crazy, always thinking that the apocalypse is in their lifetime.
I just want to say, for the record, I never said...
But you're a conspiracy theorist, not sometimes.
I just want
No, satellite. And that's he said the extinction.
Yeah, for the record, I didn't say extinction level. I think the worst situation is our poles will flip. It'll cause havoc for a few days. A couple of things might break or cause problems.
Why would it cause havoc? Why would it cause havoc?
Well, if you...
Give me one good reason.
Okay, so I'd have to do some research into this, but my understanding is, if the poles flip, it's going to screw up compasses and stuff, will it not?
Yes, no, not really, because it would just mean that the north and south pole changed technically.
Right. And what would that do to GPSs?
Theories to say that nothing really other than read them in reverse. The negative number on the GPS would become positive, and the positive would become negative.
So
So here's the thing: you say that there's no mass deaths or anything like that, yet there's there's a very high amount of evidence and record evidence that has been shown lately that shows that there has been mass die-offs of various sea life, birds, etc. How do you answer that?
In our recent years, I'd say because of things like Fukushima, due to things like massive amounts of carbon and other shit being pumped into the atmosphere, changing the biosphere that we all live in.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about areas that have had a lot of wildlife in them, and then all of a sudden the wildlife is gone. There are other places where there's no reason for it, but there's like just dead birds by the thousands all over, and they have to clean them up.
We don't know, but that's not really about the electromagnetic field. With the electromagnetic field, hang on. With the electromagnetic field, whenever the flip actually does begin, there will be no actual mass kill-offs or anything by solar flares. We won't actually be exposed
unless a solar flare hits us right then at that exact fucking time.
No,
and
this
even
is
then
a couple
EMP at best.
Hey, this is a couple year event. It's not gonna be like an instantaneous thing. But what we do know is that this will mostly just affect our electrical grid, and our satellites will be extremely vulnerable at the time because they have no real shielding against solar flares.
And also ground level electronics will be affected to some degree, especially things with induction coils, stuff like that.
Yes, but on the big scale, this is not even close to an extinction level event. This is actually pretty mundane for the Earth. We can see this by knowing that crocodiles are still around, considering they've been around since the dinosaurs. You would have think they would have been wiped out once.
Sure.
Exactly. You would have seen all these bird species been around for fucking 50,000, 60,000, 70,000 years. Look at Australia's fucking wildlife, dude. you can't be telling me that there's an extinction level event that happens every X amount of thousand years because of the shifting of the poles. And by the way, it might not be a flipping of the poles.
I wasn't completely just saying that it's just the shift of the poles, but that there is something unusual going on right now.
Oh yeah, there's booms happening all over.
There's unusual shit.
Sure, but the electromagnetic field was the thing that was being brought up at the time.
Yeah.
That's all I was saying.
To be a skeptic, dude, it could be okay. Well, to be a complete skeptic here, it could just be as simple as we all have fucking smartphones now, and we can all record it and put it onto YouTube. How would it be recorded and proven beyond a crazy person's narrative throughout most of human history before this? Now, let's ignore that for a second.
Cover-up, though? But why the cover-up? I mean,
what cover-up? People are just
Nonpartisan.
Show me proof of the cover-up.
Yeah, well, if you go through...
Nonpartisan just brought up the cover-up.
Yeah, if you go through, actually look at earthquaketracker.com, that actually says there has not been an earthquake in Australia for over 30 days. That there's only been one earthquake in Australia in 365 days.
I will admit that there actually... Hang on. There actually has been a cover-up of some things, because I've actually noticed earthquake things that have first been reported by like earthquake tracker and all that stuff, and then later deleted. Now is this we have no clue if this is a nefarious means or if this is
human error.
Yeah, it could be human error.
It's not human error.
It honestly could
say it's not human error, but humans are idiots. No, I'm saying human error in the reporting.
You have to
the initial reporting could be human error. Can we cut that part?
Premeditatively delete the article.
One second. So let's continue this in a second, right? But Nonpartisan, do you really want your stream to develop into conspiracy theory at the moment?
I find these sonic booms to be somewhat interesting, but yeah, I'd rather stuck to. Well, that's what I'm actually doing. While you guys are talking about this, I'm actually bringing up the earthquake tracker for North America because we know there have been sonic booms over there. So
Are you saying you don't believe that harp was invented by the Jews?
Hang on, because
the booms in America has been massive. They're happening almost daily.
Yeah, and there have been quakes. There have been
those
quakes.
Those kind of booms would not be done by earthquakes. The earthquakes would not be able to cause those.
Yeah, it could not be an earthquake. So the earthquake tracker thing could just be they reported it initially because of physical reports of people on the ground, and then realized, okay, they checked their equipment, and there was no earthquake reported, therefore they updated the site. Listen,
what's interesting though is that the booms are so powerful though that they cause ground shake. For example, there's a county recently that had a boom that was so massive that it actually split part of the road, and that they've got crews out there repairing it.
If you're talking about it actually like damaging stuff, I'm gonna go ahead and guess that that's a sonic boom.
No, it didn't. It wasn't just damage. It literally split the road.
And also, we have had other earthquakes around the world. I believe.
Show you proof.
I remember. I'm actually on earthquake tracker actually. But I was going to say the thing is that I remember. I think it was over in Asia somewhere. They were saying that there was a recent earthquake over there as well that actually caused a possible tsunami. But then they revised that to say there was no tsunami, so that was why it was in the media. They were saying the tsunami was not going to happen. So they have, and look, obviously, Japan and those sort of areas are prone to earthquakes, no biggie. But I'm just saying that when you start getting earthquakes all around the world, or you're getting these sonic booms or these tremors or whatever you want to call them all around the world, there must be something going on with the Earth at the moment. There must be something that is happening because...
No, there doesn't have to be. Because we go through highs and lows of earthquakes because of the way the tectonic plates shift and because of the way that earthquakes happen. When the shifts happen, then it causes a string of earthquakes around. We're overdue for many natural disasters. We're overdue for a lot of things just on a statistical level.
We're pretty lucky right now, actually.
Honestly, okay, to be honest, this is what I think the people's interpretation is right now. It's you've gotten a bag of Smarties and you're pulling them out and there's a majority of red ones and you're thinking, grabbing all the red ones out and think, holy shit, there's a conspiracy, they're making them all red.
No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that I want to know what's going on with these sonic booms. That's what I want to know. I want to know why we're getting these booms.
They're not sonic booms.
Well,
they're not
whatever
sonic
you
booms.
want to call them. Let's not split hairs over what they actually are.
I think they probably would be.
Well, yeah. Okay,
kinda,
so these disturbances.
It kind of actually seems like it would be indicative of something going, hypersonic.
I would. Okay, this is a complete non-scientific term. I would put it as far as electromagnetic crackling. Because you know what the theory is behind the shift of the poles, right? It's not that the poles of the Earth necessarily flip; it's that the electromagnetic fields of the Earth reverse, because when we pass the equinox, because the galaxy essentially, the solar system rotates around the galaxy. We're in orbit around the galaxy because there's a massive black hole at the center, and once we pass the equinox of it, essentially it shifts our electromagnetic fields because of I forgot the fucking term. I'm too drunk to up arguing this. This is why I wish that. Anyway,
there's nothing on that level that would affect us other than gravity.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's why I was saying there's a massive black hole at the center.
Joking.
Yeah, no, I know you do.
There is technically a Planet X.
There
but it really is just an unimpressive body.
It's an unimpressive body that orbits at a massive orbit, essentially a super orbit, where it orbits very far away and comes around behind us. I'm outside having a cigarette right now. I'll check it in one moment. But I'm more willing to have this conversation. My suggestion, yes, fuck you. My suggestion is that we Nonpartisan cut his stream and starts another one called Conspiracy Time.
Well, I don't know if you guys... Well, they're actually talking about possibly waiting for Superneat to get on, and then if you guys actually want to do a stream regarding that...
No, Superneat's asleep, I think.
Yeah. But
yeah.
Just before...
I regard everything with Occam's razor, so...
Well, I was going to say, Miko,
Likewise.
just before we end the stream, we have a question for you. Do you feel like going to Portland, and do you feel like walking around with a Nazi flag?
No, because I think that would just hurt the movement more than anything.
Well, the reason why...
It wouldn't away.
Well, actually, yeah, so you went in with the stream earlier. Apparently, Portland has introduced new anti-bias training, where now they are actually protecting everybody from everything from race, religion, to even political affiliations. So, according to Portland's university rules now, if you go to Portland University, they have to, by law, protect the Nazi Party because it's a political affiliation.
Yeah. So, mate, Miko, if you take one course at Portland University and you walk over the Nazi flag, everybody who shouts at you or does anything against you, under their bylaws, has to be expelled from university.
I wouldn't do that because, like I said, it would cause more damage to the movement than.
Yeah, we're just shitposting. We're just doing.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
I would wear something like the Nordic front symbol or something.
Well, this is the thing. Any political party has to be protected. But all right, so we might wrap it up here. If you guys do want to talk about these sonic booms, we can do another stream straight up.
I fucking guarantee we're going to talk about it. I guarantee we're going to talk about it afterwards.
Oh shit! All right.
I just thought, like, keep your shit on topic. I'm trying to be nice to you this time. Since last time I said
yes. Okay, let's not repeat those things. All right, guys. All right, let's wrap it up. Let's not. No, actually, I might just mute you guys from now on. I've just muted everybody on desktop. Alright, so at the end of the day... But guys, look, thanks for joining everybody. I hope everybody had fun. If I still have a stream next week, then we're all going to be very surprised considering some of the topics that we have covered tonight. But guys, look, let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. And stay tuned because we might be doing yet another stream. Hang on a sec. I'll unmute you guys. So what are you going to say?
Come to the Discord. We're all a bunch of shit posters. We'd love to have you around.
Okay, I will put a link. I've muted them again just in case someone decides to start saying random words. But yeah, I have, but I'll put a link to the description below for the Discord, so obviously please go and check that out. Apart from that, guys, thank you everybody for joining. I hope everybody had a great time, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.